The following is a presentation of iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to tonight's coverage of the United Sim Racing Truck Series presented by B&C Lawn and Landscaping Services. Tonight is round 5 on the season, and we are live at the Auto Club Speedway for the Turo Turf Equipment 200. Bringing the action to you tonight is myself, Brian Macklin, and alongside me is my partner in crime for the night, Gabe Wood. And then, of course, we have Cisco Scaramouza down in the production trailers. He's the man behind the scenes that pushes all those buttons and brings that beautiful picture to you night after night. And does an excellent job down there every single time. And at this time, I'd like to go ahead and welcome my broadcast partner for the night, Gabe. Qualifying is about 6 minutes into a 10-minute session. These guys get individual 2-lap qualifiers, an opportunity to go out there and try to sit on the pole. And right now, Justin Michael is holding that provisional pole with a really impressive lap time of a 41.095. That's actually almost a full 0.2 of a second pickup from what he ran in practice. And if he can hang on for the next couple of minutes, he's going to snag a pole here tonight to get ready to go green flag here.
Yeah, Justin Michael picking up where he did leave off last week at Phoenix. As you know, at least Cisco does and our viewers do. Brian, I don't know if you were watching, but Justin Michael beat Aaron Bennett to the line by a rear bumper after being in contact with, on the last lap and ended up spinning down the front straightaway at Phoenix. Ended up winning by the rear bumper. The admins called it, and he was declared the winner. He may just be going for 2 in a row here tonight, but it's good to be up in the broadcast booth 2 weeks in a row here at USR because I am happy to see the continuation of this season, especially from last week where we saw a lot of guys get heated on the short track. Now we get to see them go fast here on the Speedway.
And how about that finish last week? He got spun around and was able to win going backwards across the finish line. You don't hear of that very often, especially here in sim racing, but I don't know if we've ever really seen that anywhere. That's an incredible way to win a race. That's definitely one that's going to go down in the ages or in the record books as one of the most exciting and probably the most wild finishes at any race that we've ever done. And hopefully we can see some more action like that tonight. Of course, we don't really want to see anybody going backwards across the start-finish line. We want to see some pretty good racing up here. Qualifying still has about 2 minutes left. It looks like he's going to have the pole. He's got a pretty good lap time there, and a lot of the other front runners that were up front in practice, they've already put up their laps. There's only a couple of guys down that have not ran a lap yet that I think might pose a threat at that. Aaron Bennett was the fastest in practice. He ran a 41.17, and he has not yet turned a lap, so potentially maybe he could get up there and challenge for that pole if he gets out there and puts up a lap. But other than that, Justin Michael's looking pretty good to try to start this night off where he left off last week at Phoenix.
Yeah, right now we got Tim Matthews on the track. He practiced in 10th position. He's just pulling it off the racetrack now, but he ended up qualifying in the 11th position provisionally. See if anybody else is on the racetrack. We got Justin Kleber, any other guys who are contenders up here. A couple more who have not qualified yet. Aaron Bennett, he practiced number 1. He has yet to take time here on the racetrack, has yet to get onto the racetrack, so he is still waiting in line to go onto the racetrack. Anybody else? The 28 of Michael Warren and the 64 of Michael Priester, all those guys. Jason Jacoby, one of the faster cars we saw in the, he did not run last week. I believe this may be his first start of the year, but another driver, Keith Button. Looks like Brian Macklin, you are on the starting grid for tonight's race.
Yeah, I made a mistake and clicked the wrong button when I was getting in to call the race tonight, so they're going to show me as a driver, but I'm not a driver here tonight. I'm just up here with you and going to hang out and have some fun in the broadcast tower and try to see who wins this thing. And while we're waiting for qualifying to wind down, I am going to take a second just to update everybody on the points. Of course, this is a very long season, and we just have 4 races complete so far. Jamie Walker is in the points lead right now. Of course, he's only got that by 1 point over Riley Thompson and then 2 points over Scott Simley. and then 4 points back to Justin Michael. So it's a very tight battle at the top. As a matter of fact, the entire top 10 is separated by just 23 points. So anything can happen. Any one of these drivers could come out tonight as the points leader if some of these other guys have a bad night. So while there's still a lot of racing left, that's something for these guys to keep in mind as the race or as the season progresses, because they want to put themselves in a good spot to try to go out and win that championship, and every race is extremely important towards that, and we'll have to see what happens. And as we're speaking, qualifying has come to a conclusion, so here in just a moment we're going to give you that starting lineup here tonight, and of course that's going to be brought to you by the BNC Lawn Care Services. Based in Frankfort, Delaware, check out BNC for all your landscaping needs, including turf care, mulching, snow removal, and more. Professionally licensed and insured. Contact Aaron Bennett at bc_lawn_and_landscaping@yahoo.com. I live in Delaware. I've seen some of the work these guys do. They do a great job. If you're in the area and you need somebody to take care of it, especially now that winter's starting to set in, got some snow coming. I think we have a little bit of snow coming in this area next week. These would be the guys to call to get rid of it. And now, as we get ready for the starting lineup, Justin Michael, he does win that pole. He's going to win it with that lap of 41.095, and to his outside, the points leader, Jamie Walker, will start P2.
Inside of the third row, the number 24 of Bobby Terrell, that Muscle Milk Chevy Silverado. On the outside, it's going to be the 88 of Michael Atkins Jr., that Nationwide Chevy Silverado.
Robert Gillenwater, he's going to start P5 in that row 3 right here tonight. Greg Mall will start to his outside, starting P6.
Starting in the 7th spot is the number 20 of Scott Howell. And 39 of Dwayne Dunn will start on the outside of him in the 8th position.
Brian Harvey will start in that number 9 position here tonight, and rounding up the top 10 to his outside, Scott Formosa will start P10.
That blue and silver Chevy Toyota Tundra, on the inside lane, starting in 11th. That's the 54 of Tim Matthews. That 66 of Ralph Vandervorst in that 12th spot in that white and green car there. Bismarck State College sponsored machine.
We've got Steve Ritter starting P13 here tonight in that number 16 machine, and to his outside, he's second in the points right now. Number 56 of Riley Thompson, he starts P14.
The double deuce of Seth Foudy will start in the 15th position. Jeff Ryan will start to the outside of him in that number 8 Mountain Dew machine.
Starting 17th here tonight is Ricky Howell Jr., and to his outside, Scott Simley starts P18.
Shane Hawthorne in that number 11 will start in the 19th position with a time of 41.463, and on the outside of row number 10 in the 20th position is going to be the 75 of James Nunn.
All right, and you will see the rest of the starting lineup scroll across your screen in just a moment. We're getting ready to go for 100 laps of action here at the Auto Club Speedway. And Gabe, before we get going, this track is extremely bumpy. The track is really wide. You can get a lot of momentum off the corners. This is going to be a very exciting race because these guys are going to have to manage their tires and try to stay clean, but they're also going to be able to use that draft to try to stay with the race leader and really use that to their advantage to try to get to the front of the field. Who do you think is the favorite in this race here tonight?
Well, I would say Aaron Bennett, but it looks like he's chosen not to qualify and will start in the rear of the field for tonight's race, so at least the 36th position. So I'm looking to see maybe him charge through the field if he does not get in trouble. But one thing he's going to have to avoid, Brian, is that outside turn number 4 wall, because that will jump up and bite you. A couple more things to look at. That 17 of Jamie Walker in a brand new Discount Tire sponsored machine. And Ashton Crowder won at Atlanta and was running in the lead in the last lap and ended up being involved in that incident on the last lap with Justin Michael. He is not in the field tonight. So that's one favorite out of tonight's race.
All right, well, green flag is out. The Toro Turf Equipment 200 is underway. Justin Michael gets on the loud pedal in a hurry. He jumps out to a 3-car length advantage already as they head off into turn 1. Everybody is now juking for positions behind him, and it looks like Jamie Walker is going to slot in second. Looks like the top 5 has already gotten single file as they work through turns 1 and 2. Everybody's going to be fighting for the bottom on fresh tires here, Gabe. They know how important that grip is at the bottom of the racetrack. They're going to be trying to get down there as quickly as possible, and we have a battle for that 3rd position already. The number 88 of Michael Atkins Jr. is to the inside of the number 24 of Bobby Terrell, and he's going to take that position away as they work through 3 and 4.
Battle for the lead coming off of turn 4. Who's going to lead lap number 1? The 17 of Jamie Walker down to the bottom. 87, Justin Michael to the outside. It's going to lead to 17 to the inside. It's going to lead lap number 1 here. So lap number 1 in the books here at Auto Club Speedway. On to lap number 2 of 100. So a very long race. These guys are going to have to look out for their tires. The 17 to the lead coming out of turn number 2. Everybody's single file looks like out to about the number 20 of Scott Howell. He's to the outside of the number 67 of Brian Harvey. So we're going to see what that battle can do going into turn number 3. That Hippie's Paint Shop number 67 machine. He's going to dump down to the bottom, coming off of turn number 3 into number 4. And that's going to leave that number 20 of Scott Howell out to dry there on the outside. He's going to barely scrape the wall, lose a couple more positions coming off turn number 4.
You talked about it, Gabe. Getting too close to that turn 4 wall can be very dangerous for these guys. And for the number 20 machine, his night almost ended early because he was inches away from slamming that wall. Did a good job keeping it off there. He's able to get back in line. Right now, he's being shown in the 11th position. Got a little sideways through 1 and 2 right there, though, as now we have another issue going on with the number 18 machine. He got a little loose, it looked like, off turn 2. He gathered it up, but he's going to lose about 4 or 5 spots as they go down into turn 3. He's trying to get his momentum back up, but he's going to lose a handful of positions. Pretty exciting battle going on back here, though. All these guys are racing pretty hard. Gabe, these guys know how important it is to try to make time on the fresh tires, because once this thing gets spread out and the leaders get away, it's going to be very hard to make up that ground. They need to try to get as much as they can here at the beginning of this run and try to stay close to the leader. That way, once the field does get spread out, they're not as far behind.
2 by 2 into turn number 1 around the top 15. That number 1 is going to get the little squeeze there on the outside, or he's going to squeeze the outside of the number 20 there coming off of turn number 2, but that's right. That's going to be a very tough order. Once these guys get a few laps here on the tires, I think it's going to be very tough to pass. But look, if we do get a green flag run and some of these guys have saved their tires early in this run, look for the guys outside the top 20, maybe even Aaron Bennett. That may be his strategy, to pounce on the guys who have been running these fast times and trying to get out front. That may be something to come into play.
Yeah, absolutely. And for a guy like that, hanging out in the back and just kind of managing your tires and taking your time, that would be the best call for him, because he knows he's not going to just charge his way up through the field and get to the race lead in the first 10 or 15 laps. He understands that, and he realizes that. So he knows that maybe just saving your tires, waiting for these guys to wear their stuff out, and then pounce like you mentioned, Gabe, that's the best strategy. I mean, he's already 6.1 seconds behind the race leader. We're just 5 laps into this thing, and he's already that far behind. So I'm almost certain that's what he's going to be doing. As they come off turn 4, you see these guys are still fighting for several positions back here. Looks like the number 22 of Seth Fowdy is going to come out on top of that battle, and he'll move up into the 11th position. Now trying to run down that top 10 that has gotten away from these guys. The top 10 is separated by just 2.2 seconds, and then these guys are about a second and a half behind them. All that battling that they were just doing has already cost them a ton of time to that first group of trucks, and that's where that draft is really going to play a factor. Those front 10 guys, they're pretty much staying single file for the most part. They're not really breaking that draft. They're keeping everything in line, and it's really helping them pull away from these guys that are battling side by side behind them.
Battle around the number 13 and 14 positions here. The 00 of Jody Green. He's on in the inside of that Jags machine. The 11 of Jody Green. You're gonna have to watch out for that, Brian. We saw the number 16, I believe, of Steve Ritter getting a little bit of trouble there coming off outside turn number 4, like we saw a few laps ago. You can also do that on the inside of somebody, and that's a good way to ruin yours and somebody else's race. We're going to have to watch for that. Guys pedaling that throttle later in the run, trying to make their way around these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. As you see this side-by-side battle going on back here between the number 68 of Scott Simley and the number 11 of Shane Hother. He's trying to take that position away from the 11. As they come off turn 4, he slides up the track, almost puts him up into the fence off turn 4, but he's able to hold it down there. He's trying to take that position away, and we have a caution on the speedway. First caution of the evening comes on lap number 8. It looks like Dylan Water. I'm sorry. Never mind. We'll get you who the caution is here in just a moment. There's several trucks around on the front straightaway. It looks like the number 66 is one of those drivers, Ralph Vandervorst. And the number 33 of Aaron Bennett also involved. So big wreck here on lap number 8.
Yeah, looks like the 66 in turn number 3 got just turned around just a little bit by that number 1 of Jason Jacoby. Ended up sending him into the outside wall, and he comes back across the tracks. Hits that number 14 of Christopher Hurlow. and then into the number 33 of Aaron Bennett. So not a wise choice, it looks like, for that 33 of Aaron Bennett to start this race in the back. These guys have no fast repairs, so that any kind of hard hit is basically an end to their night.
Yeah, I mean, he got quite a bit of damage there, but it isn't damage that I think is insurmountable. I don't think he's going to be as fast as he was before that, but it doesn't look like it's terrible damage. A lot of damage to the right side of that truck, which is going to hurt the Arrow some, but I think they can come in and beat that out and probably get him back going in the right direction. Unfortunate, like you said, you don't really want to see this happen. You certainly don't want to start in the back and have something like this happen. That's your worst nightmare as a guy that's starting in the back of the pack like that. But it happened early enough where he still got plenty of time to try to rebound and maybe still salvage something out of this race here tonight and try to keep himself up in the points battle. So have to keep an eye on the number 33 machine and see what happens. He was the fastest truck in practice too. So to have that happen this early on has got to be very frustrating. And now these leaders are heading through turns 3 and 4, Gabe. I believe you're going to see all of them come to pit road. 4 tires and fuel should be the call. As abrasive as this track is, taking a chance on tires really isn't going to pay off for these guys. And sure enough, all of them are coming to pit road, led by Jamie Walker as they come down here. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, but we expect a 4-tire call for every single one of these drivers down here.
Let's watch that leader as he comes into pit road. More than likely going to take 4 tires on this pit stop, as will everybody else in the field that comes down to pit road. See what's going to happen. He's going to pull into his pit stop here in just a moment. He's going to pull into what maybe the 7th pit stall here, or the 2nd pit stall, excuse me. Pit crew going to walk around to the right side of the car. Going to jack it up, everybody. I would not expect anybody to blast through pit, which we're seeing right now. Somebody pulling a little bit of strategy, maybe. That's Justin Kleber. He's going to drive through pit road. And it looks like the 87 of Justin Michael, he's going to beat everybody else off of pit road. A little bit of contact between the 17 and the 88 of Michael Atkins Jr. So a little bit of rear damage and a little bit of front damage for that number 88 machine.
And how about that number 1 pit stall benefiting the number 87 of Justin Michael? He was able to win that battle off pit road. Of course, we assume that Justin Kleber will probably come back to pit road. He missed his pit box, it looked like, when he came down pit road the first time. So we'll have to wait and see, but would believe that he's going to come to pit road again and get the service that he did not get on the first trip down. So for now, he's being shown as your race leader, but we expect that to change. But for Justin Michael, that number 1 pit box may be pivotal throughout most of the night. Getting that battle off pit road and winning it the way he did, that could be really big for him at the end of the race if that happens again. Of course, we saw on the first start of the race here that he was not able to hold that lead for a full lap, even though he got out to a pretty good start. He had 2 to 3 car lengths over Jamie Walker when they got to turn 1, but Jamie was able to pounce on him and take that lead away before they got back around to complete lap 1. Gabe, if you're in Justin Michael's shoes, are you concerned by that at all? Because he was barely able to hang on for a half a lap like that. If he's put in a position where they have a 1-lap dash at the end, is that something that's going to be in the back of your mind at the end of this thing?
Well, I don't know. That was just one restart, and he held him pretty good there coming off of turn number 2. I think it was really turn numbers 3 and 4 that really gave him some trouble. I think he pushed just a little bit too much, trying to get a little bit out of the car, but I think his real big worry here is because look right in front of him. He is not the person lined up behind that Porsche Roof GT3 pace car, the brand new pace car here in the iRacing service. It is that number 93 of Justin Kleber. Drove through pit road and is going to inherit the lead when we get back to the restart. So he's going to start second, and inside or outside, depending on what lane that number 93 chooses. So that 87 is going to have somebody on old tires to deal with.
Yeah, and how about that new pace car that iRacing put out this week? That's a really cool looking pace car, and it was a nice change. We've had the same pace car for a long time, and it's nice to get a little refresh on things like that. It's nothing more than just something that you get to look at, but it's still pretty cool, and that car looks awesome. So kudos to iRacing for doing that. That's a really cool deal, and looks like I was wrong. I said Justin Kleber was going to come back to pit road, but he's still out there. Lights are still on the pace car, though. It looks like they should be coming to the 1 to green this time by. And we'll have to wait and see what happens. As it looks like the number 93 is going to come in now. Yep, he's going to come to pit road.
Take those bonus points, and he's going to give everybody, let everybody around him. One more thing on the pace car. You said it's a nice, refreshing thing. We've been stuck with that yellow American Childhood Cancer Association pace car for what seems like a while now. I believe that turned out it was only supposed to be a one-season deal, and it just they never got around to changing it. So I think everybody, even though the cause was great on that car, I believe we got a little bit tired of seeing the yellow and blue pace car. We wanted to see something a little bit more official.
Yeah, but that was a really good cause to be a part of, and something that was really cool on iRacing's part. And of course, like you said, though, it's really cool to get the new refresh with the pace car, and hopefully they continue to do that. It'd be cool to see some different schemes on those pace cars, kind of like we see every Sunday in NASCAR and in other series.
I vote for the Formula One pace car.
There you go, Formula One pace car. That car is beautiful. But we got to get back to the action here. They're lined up double file. Lights are off on that pace car. They're going to go back green here, and they're going to have about 87 more laps when they go back green. Justin Michael did take the inside line for this restart since he was able to re-inherit the lead. And he got that bonus point that he did not get at the beginning of the race because he did not lead the first lap and never did take the lead away from Jamie Walker. So he gets a bonus point now for leading a lap. That's pretty important for him. And now he's going to try to take this thing back to the green flag once again. We'll have to see if he can hang on for more than a lap this time. To his outside, Jamie Walker. Then you have Michael Atkins Jr. In the inside of row number 2. Bobby Terrell is lined up on the outside of row 2. Then Dwayne Dunn is on the inside of row 3. That's your top 5. Pace car's about to duck back to the safety of pit road. For the first time tonight, we're going to have a restart. Pace car is in, and we're waiting for the green flag. There it is, Justin Michael. He's back on the loud pedal again, and another really impressive restart. This time, though, there might be a little bit of a challenge for second, as Michael Atkins Jr. for a moment looked like he was going to be able to stick a nose in underneath of Jamie Walker. He was not able to get through the gears as well as Jamie was, and therefore he's going to have to stay in that third position as they work through turns 1 and 2. Jamie Walker seals it to the bottom of the track again. He's going to see if he can do what he did on the initial start and try to take that lead back. Not getting the advantage or the run that he had last time as he's trying to close in on number 87. But he's just not getting there as quickly as he did on the initial start. It looks like he's going to stay behind him here for a little bit longer as they work down into turn 3.
Top 10 cars are single file, but with the way the 17 is coming to the back bumper, that may be getting ready to change. Oh, nope, it looks like for the first green flag lap here tonight, Justin Michael will lead them to the green and will get to keep it. Throws the block on him there on the front straightaway to break that momentum of the number 17 discount tire machine. He's going to keep the lead here on lap number 13 on to 14. Looks like your first battle on the racetrack is around that number 3 of Keith Butt, but we're going to stay with the leaders because looks like it's going to get a little bit exciting here in the next couple laps. I believe Jamie Walker wants that lead back, and I think he's going to do everything he can to get around that number 87 machine. We saw him not have the best of runs at Phoenix. I think he's looking for just a little bit of redemption here at Auto Club.
Yeah, absolutely. And what better way to do it than to go out here and try to lead every lap or the most laps and go for the race win. And they dive to the apron down the front straightaway. Justin Michael putting another block on him as they head down turn 1, towards turn 1. But Jamie Walker not able to do anything with it here. He's right on the rear bumper of Justin Michael. If Justin sneezes, they're going to have contact between the two of these guys because that's just how close they are right now. And as they come off turn 2, I thought Jamie Walker was going to look to the inside for a moment, but he decides to stay in line once again. Justin Michael hanging on to that lead. Got to wonder, maybe Jamie Walker is trying to save a little bit of tires. He got out there and led for a little while. He knows he's got a fast truck. Maybe stay behind Justin Michael, see what he's got, wait it out, and see if he can't run him down in a little while if we have a long green flag run. He's not really doing what we saw him do on the initial start, which was get out there and get a couple of car links on him. He's just hanging right on the rear bumper of him. These guys are getting away, though, from the rest of the field, Gabe. They've got already about a half a second over Michael Atkins Jr. in third. Do you think that draft is helping them, maybe? That could be why they're staying single file, because they know they're pulling away from everybody else.
I think it has to do with the fact that we have the 2 fastest cars in the field out here running qualifying laps here on lap number 16. We're almost a quarter of the way through the race already. 1 caution under our belts, and it looks like that 87 is pulling away of Justin Michael. Going to get a little bit of gap here, but yeah, maybe that 17 of Jamie Walker knows he's not going to get around him without a fight. We've seen that with the blocks that 87 machine has been pulling here the last couple laps. Every time Jamie Walker gets to his back bumper, he kind of just changes his direction just to break that momentum of the car behind him. So I think the 17 of Jamie Walker may just kind of hang back, save his tires like you said, but going to look back through the field. It looks like the number 12 of Greg Maul, he's going to get shoved to the outside of the racetrack. Scott Formosa in the number 80 machine, he started in the 10th position, is now up to that 6th position, trying to go after that top 5 spot. He's going to dive it into turn number 3 here on lap number 17. He's going to get there, and Robert Gillenwater is going to look to fill that hole yet again. and try and get to the inside coming out of turn number 4. Hopefully these guys don't push up. They don't. And he is not going to get... Oh, the 12 jumps to the bottom side of the racetrack to break that momentum and get the inside lane going into turn number 1.
Yeah, that all started a lap ago. Going off into turn 1, the number 12 machine, he did not get into the corner well at all, and he washed way up the track, and that allowed for the number 80 of Scott Formosa to stick his nose in and take that position away. So he got very lucky that he only lost one spot in that exchange, because that could have easily cost him 5 or 6 more positions down the stretch, but he was able to get back in line, and he's only going to fall back to that 6th position, so a pretty good safety net for him right there. And looks like we have a battle for the lead going on up here, as here comes Jamie Walker looking to the inside off 4, but once again the 87 of Justin Michael is going to slam the door on him. They go all the way down to the apron, almost going into the grass down the front straightaway, just trying to do everything he can to hang on to that race lead. Jamie Walker, though, had an opportunity right there to stick his nose to the inside. He thought better of it. Now he's right on the rear bumper and almost makes contact in the middle of 1 and 2 right there. Now he looks to the inside off turn 2, trying to take that lead, but the momentum is going to go in the favor of the number 87 machine. He was able to get away from him off the corner, and now here comes the 88 of Michael Atkins. He's closing in on this battle. He wants to join the fun.
Not only him, but the rest of the top 10. Michael Atkins Jr., of course, the 24 of Bobby Terrell, Scott Formosa, Greg Maul, all of them are to the back bumper of each other, coming onto the straightaway here to complete lap number 19 on to 20. And I believe that 87 has worn out his tires up there up front. Maybe, just maybe, he can hang on till we get another caution, or his tires kind of equalize with that number 17, because it looks like Jamie Walker has been running just a little bit harder here to catch that number 87, or he's just kind of stabilized and let that 87 come back to him. But either way, he has let the rest of the top 5 and most of the top 10 get to his back bumper. See, he's going to dive it down, get a little bit better of an arc into turn number 3. Let's see what's going to happen coming off of turn number 4. Looks like he's going to push up the racetrack just a little bit, cut it back down. Oh, 87 almost on the wall. Here comes the 17, Jamie Walker, to the lead.
Yeah, Justin Michael almost made contact with the wall off turn 4. That opened the door for Jamie Walker, and back to the point, but this isn't over. Here comes Michael Atkins Jr. to the inside as they go off into turn 1. He wants the lead now. He pins it to the bottom of the racetrack in turns 1 and 2, trying to take that lead. Jamie Walker goes way wide off the corner.
And the 24 is going to put himself in
and
it.
He allows that he's able to take it. Now here comes Justin Michael trying to make it 3 wide down the back straightaway. He thinks better of it, but here comes Bobby Terrell to the inside of Jamie Walker trying to take second away as they go off into turn 3. Everybody's battling for position. Michael Atkins Jr., however, he's trying to drive away from these guys. He's got clean air, and he's got nobody to battle with. He's trying to get away from them as they come off turn 4. He dives to the bottom of the racetrack. He's playing the lines right now, pulling the draft from one lane to the other. Now he goes back to the outside as they go up down into turn 1. And it looks like Jamie Walker's going to fight back hard on the outside line. He's got the momentum, and it looks like the number 24 to check up. That's going to allow Jamie Walker to take the spot back. But here he comes again off turn 4, or off turn 2. Bobby Terrell is not done yet. He wants to battle back for this position.
And meanwhile, this side-by-side racing has let the 88 of Michael Atkins Jr. drive away into turn number 3. Let's see what's going to happen. That 24 is going to shove up the racetrack. Bobby Terrell hangs on to it. No contact, it looks like. But look at the battle up front. That 17 of Jamie Walker. He is caught to the back bumper of that 88 Nationwide Chevrolet. Let's see what's going to happen. Oh, it's spreading out there on the back half of the top 5 into the top 10. Let's see what's going to happen. Your 4th leader of the night. We forgot to mention that 88 of Michael Atkins leads his first laps of the night. 3 wide for the 3rd position. Caution.
Caution is out on the straightaway. We'll have to see what happened here.
Looks like Ricky Howell Jr. in the number 18 machine. He gets turned. We're going to get the replay up for you.
Yeah, that was a big wreck down in turns 1 and 2. Like you said, just look like he got turned going off into the corner. There was a little bit of contact from the 00 machine. That sent the 16 up into him. You see the replay on your screen right now. That all started on the inside line there is the outside line. The 00 machine of Jody Green got into the number 16 of Steve Ritter. That turned the 18 around. Both of those guys made heavy contact with the outside wall. Some pretty good damage for the 00 too, as he got pinned up against that wall. So second caution of the evening. And you mentioned it just a couple of minutes ago, Gabe. the tires were really starting to go off on the number 87 of Justin Michael. This caution was perfectly timed for him because he was about to start free falling. He had fallen back to third, and I think he was about to lose a couple of more positions right before that caution came out. So this couldn't have fell better for him at this point of the race. Lap number 24, after another pretty decent little green flag run, we expect all of these guys to come back to pit road here.
Should be coming back to pit road. Drivers involved in that wreck: Randy Yoakum in the number 2 machine, the 00 of Jody Green, Seth Foudy, and Steve Ritter also involved in that wreck. Going to see who comes down to pit road here. Michael Axon Jr. is going to hug that white line here on lap number 24 under caution. That's going to see. Looks like everybody and their mother is going to come to pit road here on lap 24 to complete the first quarter of this race. Let's see what's going to happen here under the pit stop. Should be 4 tires all around for everybody in the field. Looks like that 3 Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet is going to be the first one to get into his pit stall. Let's see where he's going to come out. But look for that number 1 pit stall, the number 87 of Justin Michael. It came out good for him when he was in the second position. Let's see if he can pick up one better and move to the lead from third.
Yeah, all the leaders sliding into their boxes now. 4 tires and fuel once again should be the call. Looks like we have another driver that may or may not have missed his pit box. That's Michael W. Waters. He goes through. So he's going to be the first car officially off pit road, but we're waiting on the race leaders, and this time Justin Michael's not going to win the battle off pit road. Looks like Jamie Walker will win, followed by Michael Atkins Jr., and then we have Justin Michael, Bobby Terrell, and Scott Formosa. That's the top 5 that battle coming off of pit road. Again, we did have one guy that looked like he went through his pit box. That was Michael Waters. We'll have to see what he does, see if maybe he goes out there and tries to lead a lap, or if he decides to come back to pit road like we saw before. We'll come back to that. We'll update you on that in just a moment. These guys just took a pit stop. Now we're going to take a pit stop of our own. This is LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. We'll be right back.
So obviously you guys have come from the virtual world to reality. What do you think about a sim racer coming in the real world? What were your expectations coming in?
Coming from iRacing, a computer program basically down here to a real world scenario where you got all these guys with all these years and years and years and years of experience that are also using iRacing as a tool to come out and run against those guys and beat them and finish ahead of them and show them, there's a thing or two you might be missing is fantastic. I mean, that's a skill that I know I don't have, and I can appreciate it because I'm terrible at iRacing.
Glenn was able to come into the team. We did a lot of preseason testing, actually a full season's worth of testing before we even started the season. And he came in, there was a lot of sectors that he was the fastest guy out of our team. And Sparky and I are looking at data, trying to catch up to him through some turns. And of course, some places Sparky will be the fastest or I'll be the fastest, and Glenn is able to learn from what we're doing and vice versa. So it was excellent to see his pace right off of the bat, and speed was never a worry. It's about qualifying well. Qualifying is very difficult, and pretty important in this series. And so is, being able to make effective passes without contact. It's very difficult to pass in these cars, so, it's not easy being here.
I think the level of ultra competitiveness in here, where when normally when you make a pass, you're making a pass with 2 cars involved. But if we're making a pass in this series, you have to remember there's 5 cars waiting behind you. If you mess up that pass, they're going by you.
Yeah, it's like sharks.
Yeah, you're surrounded by sharks. But no, it's been I've been very surprised and very pleased with it. And obviously I have the 2 champions I'm sitting between. John actually statistically is the most successful MX-5 Cup driver in the world. He owns every record that you would want, none of the bad records.
Maybe some of them, I don't know.
Maybe some of those. And Sparky's one of the quickest guys in the paddock, and obviously the champion now. So I couldn't have picked a better team to be with 6 Sideways. I'm looking at what everybody in the paddock calls gold. I mean, they will pay to look at John and Sparky's data, and I get full access to it. And I get to see where I'm doing well and see where I can improve. And I've been really pleased with my progress.
Welcome back to tonight's coverage of the Turo Turf Equipment 200 here at the Auto Club Speedway. Jamie Walker has reassumed the lead because Michael Waters did decide to come back to pit road. He wanted that bonus point for leading a lap. He got it. He went to pit road. Now he's back, being shown all the way at the back of the pack here. We're getting ready to go back green though, Gabe. This is going to be a very exciting restart. This is the first time Justin Michael will not be the race leader when they take the green flag. He's going to restart on the inside of row number 2 in that third position, and he's going to be out for blood as he wants to try to get that lead back here as quickly as possible. The leaders are rolling through turns 3 and 4 right now. We're about to go back green. It's going to be quite a battle here, Gabe. I want to let you bring us to the green flag.
Lights are out atop the Porsche pace car leading the field to green. It's going to duck down to the safety of pit road. This is the first restart. We've had the 87 behind the 17 on the restart. He's going to take the green flag, gets a good jump off the restart. That's going to put the 88 on the outside of Justin Michael. 87 to the inside of the 88 as they go into turn number 1. Let's see what's going to happen here. Will that outside lane hold, or will that number 87 get the jump here? Let's see what's going to happen. They're going to power it down into turn number 1 at 24 of Bobby Terrell. He's going to be on the outside of the 80. Oh, the 87 gets loose and gets into the 88. Caution is out here on the back straightaway off the restart here on lap number 1 after the start.
That is a huge wreck coming off of turn 2, taking out a couple of our front runners. And how about Michael Atkins Jr.? That is a huge hit for him. Absolutely disheartening for a guy like him. And he took another hit at the end of that thing, got some pretty good damage after the wreck was pretty much completely over. That was just absolutely huge. And trying to see if Justin Michael's truck is all right. Yeah, it looks like Justin Michael just lost it on his own coming off turn 2. It looked like he almost clipped the apron, and it got his truck really upset, and then he shot up in front of the 88. There was really nowhere for him to go. Fortunately for the 87, I don't know if Michael Atkins would like to hear that. Actually, never mind. He took a big hit after the wreck was over. So all of these drivers involved took some pretty big hits. More than likely going to end their nights here tonight. And for a guy like Jamie Walker, that worked out perfectly because that took out his closest competition here. Now he's got a couple of new guys that he hasn't really had to race with too much battling behind him when we go back green.
Yeah, Brian, I'm just looking at this wreck here. It looks like a couple of ARCA breaks throughout the field could have resulted in a couple of these secondary incidences. I'm not going to call out any names, but it could have been a lot less carnage here on the back straightaway. But yeah, and I'd be happy if I was Jamie Walker because that takes out basically my only competition I've seen, or at least the only 2 competition he's seen with the 88 and the 87. So let's see what the rest of this race holds. And look at here, the 80 of Scott Formosa is going to move into the second position provisionally in case, unless we come down the pit road here. But we've only had about a half a lap off the restart, so I shouldn't expect it. But the number 80 is going to move to the outside lane for the restart, and Bobby Terrell going to move into that 24 spot. And Keith Butt in that number 3 Bass Pro Shops machine, Brian, he started 35th on the field. He did not take a time in qualifying. He is the biggest mover of the race so far. He's had a very eventful night so far, and he's not even halfway over with it.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's an incredible drive up through the field in the first 30 laps, 35th to 4th, and he may not be done. This could be the beginning of a really big night for him. He didn't really have a very good practice time, though. He was 35th in practice, but apparently he knows how to get it done in the race because he's doing a great job here, and there's a couple of guys that have done that. Jason Jacoby also did not take a lap in qualifying. He's up to 9th, and how about Aaron Bennett? We need to give an update on him. He was involved in the first caution of the evening. He did not qualify here tonight. Had a rough start with the wreck at the beginning of this thing. He's rebounded. He's up to 12th now, so still able to make something out of this night, or at least he's making something out of this night, and hopefully he can get up there and battle with these guys before the night is all said and done. Right behind him, though, how about Michael Warren? He started 36th, also did not take a lap, and he's up to 13th. So this is definitely a race of comers and goers. We've had a couple of guys that have really come up through the field like those guys, and then we have the goers, which some of them are more because of the wrecks than anything else, but we do have a few guys that have dropped up through the field here. Justin Michael all the way back to 20th right now. His night's pretty much done unless he can get some damage fixed and get back out there. And
it looks like he's sitting on pit road.
Yeah, he's sitting on pit road getting some damage repairs done. So just not what you want to see happen here on a restart like that, especially between a couple of guys that were having a really incredible battle. Unfortunately, though, that kind of thing happens. He just got a little too aggressive going off into the corner, clipped that apron, and It just was really hard to overcome at that point. So just one of those racing deals. They'll rebound and get back out there next week and go after it.
And while those guys try and get their cars repaired, it looks like the 18 of Ricky Howell Jr. ends up getting back on the racetrack. He's one lap down from what I've seen. Another person, I want to look at the 14 of Christopher Hurlow. He has actually rebounded pretty well. He was involved in our first caution. Heavy contact. He's now on the lead lap. Just took the Lucky Dog free pass in that 14 truck, excuse me. He started 32nd on the field, also did not take time. Looks like he's going to come to pit road now and get some new tires here before the restart, but he will be on the lead lap. So that will put 3 cars on the lead lap, Ricky Howell Jr., Jody Green, and Michael Atkins Jr. And looks like Michael Atkins Jr. also sitting on pit road. But these guys, looks like we may get them re-racked for the restart here. We may get the one to go single this time.
And we're waiting to see what happens here, but it would be pretty safe to say they should get the one to go right here. 28 car trucks still on the lead lap, so a pretty exciting field as far as that's concerned. Everybody still pretty much has a chance to make something out of this, other than those few that have been caught up in a wreck. We do have 3 drivers that are 1 lap down, like you said, and then we have a few more that are a few laps down, and we do have 1 driver that is completely out of the race, it looks like, right now, and that's Brian Cutts. He's 29 laps down. He was able to run just a couple of laps, and then he fell out of the race. So, unfortunately,
it looks like Brian Macklin failed to. Brian Macklin failed to start the race.
We didn't pass pre-race inspection. They wouldn't let me on the track, so unfortunately it just didn't happen. But lights are off on the pace car here. We're going to go back green here in about 2.5 miles. It's going to be a very exciting, or 2 miles, I apologize. Jamie Walker will be the race leader, like we just mentioned. Then we have a couple of new faces battling up here inside the top 5. Scott Formosa, Bobby Terrell, Keith Butt, and Greg Mall. That's the top 5. And Gabe, we've seen a couple of quick cautions after a pretty good start to the race with some long green flag runs. Are these drivers getting a little anxious now? Do we expect to see some more cautions, or are we going to get back going with some green flag racing?
Well, I don't know. What we saw to Justin Michael there was just a simple mistake of him trying to get a little bit more than he should have on the restart, because we've seen him not get the best restarts compared to Jamie Walker, because we've seen him not be able to start up front where he has been the entire race. And I think that Jamie Walker, he pulled off so fast off the restart when the pace car came in. He wanted to make up as much time as he could through turns number 1 and 2. Ended up clipping that apron. We've all done it if you race here at Auto Club. And I think that was just a one-off incident. Now, we could see it a couple more times here tonight just from guys trying to be a little bit aggressive, but you don't see it that often. I think the real culprit is going to be turn number 4 here. We're going to pass it here. We've seen it happen a couple times, but I think we're in for some pretty good racing. We've seen it early, but we've just seen a couple of quick cautions here lately.
Well, we're going to have to wait and see. The pace car is ducking to pit road once again. Jamie Walker in control. Green flag is out. He gets an amazing restart once again. He gets out to a pretty good lead as he crosses the start-finish line. The number 80 of Scott Formosa is trying to hang on to second. He slots to the bottom of the racetrack. He's able to close the door on Bobby Terrell, and he's going to hold on to second position as they head off into turn 1. The battle is for third as you've got Bobby Terrell to the inside of Keith Butt as they work through turns 1 and 2. Keith Butt's going to try to use that draft off the corner and the momentum to see if he can't hang on to that position as they work down the back straightaway. It looks like he's got the advantage, but Bobby Terrell's still going to be to his inside when they get to turn 3. He's got to fight hard on the outside line. He pinches him down in the middle of the corner, trying to hang on to that position, but Bobby Terrell's going to shove him up the track off the corner. Keith Butt almost makes contact
a little
with
bit
the
of
wall.
sparks.
He's going to have to give up P3 to Bobby Terrell. So Bobby Terrell up to third, and Keith Butt back to fourth after that restart.
See, this is the one place you do not want to pinch somebody down here at Auto Club, because it can go so wrong so quickly. Gets back to the gas, and he ends up losing that third position, goes back to fourth where he was. Looks like he's going to lose a few more here by the time all things are said and done. The 12 of Greg Mall is going to go around. Also the 67 of Brian Harvey, and maybe the 54 machine of Tim Matthews before we get back to the start-finish line. Looks like he's going to try that same move again. Try and pitch that car down. No, they're going to make a little bit of contact. Maybe he's going to go up into the wall yet again. Looks like he's going to get it pulled down off the wall, but he is going to lose that position. Tim Matthews almost doors him down the front straightaway on the lap number 35. Real close racing. It looks like Tim Matthews maybe did not appreciate that too much, but he's going to slip down into that, looks like maybe 7th position here. And back up front, Brian, We've got a little race brewing here. We got 1, 2, 3 there. You can throw them under a blanket, and a little bit bigger blanket. You can throw the 12 of Greg Mall in there too. All these guys seem to be on the equal pace here so far, but we need to wait and see here in the longer run.
Yeah, while they're single file, though, Tim Matthews is fighting hard right now underneath that number 67 of Brian Harvey. He's trying to work his way up inside the top 5. If he could take that position away from Brian Harvey, he would do so. As they work across the start-finish line, though, Harvey's going to hang on to that position for the moment. They're still side by side as they head towards turn 1. Tim Matthews has the advantage on the bottom of the racetrack. He shoves him up the track just a little bit, then pins it to the white line, trying to get the momentum around the bottom of the track. But Brian Harvey is going to use the momentum off the outside line as they go down the back straightaway to try to carry him down there and keep that position. They're side by side right behind them as well, as you've got Scott Simley battling with Keith Butt. And then you also have another battle right behind them. That's the 1 of Jason Jacoby and the 11 of Shane Hother sitting side by side. So a 6-truck battle going on. And you have Aaron Bennett right behind these guys trying to make something happen. Almost makes it 3 wide off turn 4. Lots of great battling going on back here from about 5th on back to maybe 11th or 12th. These guys are racing hard. The only issue with doing this is they're letting that top 4 get away. And actually, we have a battle for the lead. Here comes the number 80 of Scott Formosa looking to the inside of Jamie Walker off turn 2. He's trying to take the lead as they go down the back straightaway.
Top 4, here they come down the back straightaway. The 80 of Scott Formosa is going to lose that second position. It looks like by the time they get to turn number 3, he's going to hold it down there on the inside lane of the racetrack. He may have gone just a little bit too low. Let's see what's going to happen. He's going to hold it down off of turn number 4. It's the top 2 and then the top 4. Those third and fourth car drivers, they're going to fight over that third spot. Let's see what's going to happen between them, the 12 of Greg Mall and the 24 of Bobby Terrell. Let's see what's going to happen. We got side-by-side racing between the 67 again and of Brian Harvey and the 54 of Tim Matthews, but back up front, racing everywhere on the racetrack here at Auto Club Speedway. Those drivers up front have formed back up together. Maybe that 80 of Scott Formosa is going to go back to racing that number 17, try and get to the lead. Looks like he's got a fast enough car, but does he have the tires? That's what's going to be the determining factor. We're going to talk about it for the rest of the night. If we get a long run, you're going to see drivers who save those rubbers underneath the car. We're going to see them fall, or we're going to see them jump to the front, and the drivers who race early after a restart, we're going to see them fall to the back.
Tell you, we've got a bit of a rivalry going on back here for the 5th and 6th position, or 4th and 5th position. I'm sorry. No, I was right the first time. 5th and 6th. Tim Matthews, Brian Harvey, they have traded this position back and forth the last 2 laps. Battling hard as while I'm talking about that, we have a battle for the lead once again. Here comes the 80 of Scott Formosa looking to the inside of Jamie Walker. It looked like, though, Jamie Walker was able to use the momentum off the corner to hold on to that, but Scott Formosa is not letting up, as you were just talking about. He is right there. He's got the speed in the truck. Just have to wait and see how long the tires hang on. They're doing a really good job up here at the front of the field, though these guys have been working together, but it looks like Scott Formosa might be a little impatient, wants to get up there and try to lead this thing, maybe get a bonus point for leading a lap. So he's being very aggressive here on lap number 40 as he drives right to the back bumper of Jamie Walker through turns 1 and 2. He gets right up on him off the corner. He's got the momentum. He's got a run. He's looking to the inside again. Then he cuts back in line. He's going to stay behind him as they go down the back straightaway. These guys are racing hard for the lead as well. But back to what I was talking about just a moment ago, Tim Matthews and Brian Harvey, they have been trading that position back and forth. While we were talking about that lead, Tim Matthews took the position back from Brian Harvey once again. So that would be 3 changes for position in the last 3 laps. These guys have been racing hard back there, trying to get as close to the front as they can.
Talk about changing positions. That number 3 of Keith Butt, he is going nowhere fast. Looks like somebody strapped a trailer to that Tracker Boats Bass Pro Shops machine because he is sliding toward the back of the field, already outside the top 10. He restarted 4th, so looks like the tires are failing underneath that orange Chevy Silverado. Back up front, it's remaining unchanged. At number 80, he's right to the back bumper, or at least he was. Now they've got a little bit of a car length gap between them on the back straightaway. Let's see what's going to happen. Maybe the tire's going away. Maybe he's saving just a little bit. He's going to duck high just a little bit. Maybe running high. Almost gets in the outside wall coming off of 4. That's going to let the 24 of Bobby Terrell to the bottom side of the racetrack. Jumps high. That 80 is going to duck to the top side of the racetrack to block his momentum. It's going to be a good race here for that second spot. Maybe that 24 has the speed under him to get around that number 17. As I say that 80 of Scott Formosa is going to drive it down hard into turn number 1. He's going to get the good exit off of 2, and he is going to be back to the back bumper of that 17 white car up front. Jamie Walker, he's been in the lead for most of this race, only had about 3 leaders here under the green flag, and the other 2, they are out of this race. Michael Axon Jr. and Justin Michael, both those drivers are involved in the same wreck here on the restart just before this last one. So his best competition, really, or at least from what we saw early in the race, they are out. But now he's got 3 other drivers who look like they're just as fast as he is.
What I'm really noticing with Scott Formosa is he gets through 1 and 2 so much better than Jamie Walker, and it shows right here as he looks to the inside trying to take the lead away down the back straightaway. They're coming up on some slow traffic, though. Going to be interesting to see how they manage to work through it. That's Justin Michael. He gives them the bottom of the racetrack and lets them go by cleanly. But now that they get down in turns 3 and 4, one thing I've noticed is Jamie Walker gets through this part of the track better than Scott Formosa, but Scott Formosa is able to make that time up back in turns 1 and 2. Opposite ends of the racetrack, they're better than each other. That's going to play a factor in this because I firmly believe you want to be better off 3 and 4 than you do off 1 and 2 because that's going to get you back to the start-finish line. I think that's where you want to be better at, and for Jamie Walker, that's definitely leaning in his favor because he's able to get through that part of the track better. But Scott Formosa, he gets through turns 1 and 2 so good, he's able to make up a good bit of time. He's still about 2 car lengths behind Jamie Walker, though. This is going to be a really interesting battle down the stretch. The tires are probably already starting to fall off pretty good. We've been green flagged for quite a while now. So at this stage of the run, if you haven't saved your tires, you're going to start feeling the effects. And if you have, you're really going to start coming to the front because these guys that have managed their tires, they're going to be a lot better off.
Ronnie got a good run that time. He got a good run that time
right
coming
there.
off of turn number 4. Looks like those guys, they were running back and forth, switching positions, or weaving back and forth, trying to find where the clean air was to get around one another. And it looked like the 17 had his number called because he was just blocking every part of the racetrack up and down, and he was not able to get around, and that's the 80 of Scott Formosa. But now he's to the back bumper as he goes into turn number 3, closing in on halfway. Brian, I think the intensity, if it hasn't already been ramped up, it's going to get turned up a notch again.
Yeah, absolutely. As here comes Bobby Terrell looking to the inside of Scott Formosa as they go down the front straightaway. The 80 is going to slam the door on him, though. He had the momentum, Bobby Terrell did, but he wasn't able to get there quick enough, and for Scott Formosa, that works out. Now he looks to the inside of Jamie Walker as he got a good run off 4 again, and he's to the inside. He slides up the track, almost makes contact, but he's able to keep it down. Not going to get the run he wanted off the corner. That's going to allow Jamie Walker to hang on to the race lead. And now here comes Bobby Terrell looking to the outside, trying to take that second position away as they head down into the corner. A lap truck down on the bottom of the racetrack. That's the number 8 machine. Almost gets in the way, but he's able to slide out of the way at the last second. But it does make Bobby Terrell have to check up and heat that second position back to Scott Formosa, and allows them to get single file once again. These front 4 drivers, they had an advantage for a little while, but Tim Matthews, we can't forget about him. He's slowly starting to inch his way back to these guys. He's only about a half a second off the back bumper of the number 12 of Greg Mall. That's within draft distance. He can get back up there and get into the mix here in just a moment. But Scott Formosa, once again, through 1 and 2, gets a good run. Now looks to the inside, off turn 2. Not able to do anything with it as they work down the back straightaway.
Down the back straightaway here, closing in on halfway. Like I said before, it's going to get crazy here in the last 50 laps, the last half of this 100-lap race. Looks like Jamie Walker did not get a good exit off of turn number 4. He's going to get the 80 to the inside of him coming off of turn number 4 to the line. It's going to be the 17 having the lead here on lap number 47 on to 48, but that number 80 is going to lead him down into turn number 1. Scott Formosa, for the first time tonight, is the first car on the racetrack. That number 80 black machine is now up front. Let's see if he can hang on to it. Looks like he dove it down hard into turn number 1. He's going to lose that momentum. Here comes that 24 Bobby Terrell. He's going to block the racetrack for that number 17. He's not going to be able to get down to defend that position. So number 80, Scott Formosa, he is securely in the lead for now, coming off of turn number 4. Our 4th green flag leader of the night is going to be that number 80 machine. Looks like number 24, Bobby Terrell, he gets around the 17 of Jamie Walker, so that 17 is now down to that 3rd spot, and lap number 48 is going to go to that 80 machine.
And you have to start questioning, has Jamie Walker maybe used his tires up? Because that's going to be 2 positions he's lost in a lap. And he's falling back to the number 12 of Greg Mall as well. Greg's all over the back bumper as they come off turn 2. Is he going to take a look for the position? No, he's going to stay behind him for now. Does not look to be making that move as he's going to stay in line all the way down into turn 3. Bobby Terrell now closing on the back bumper of Scott Formosa. But for Jamie Walker, you have to wonder if maybe he used his tires up trying to fend off the number 80 machine. This could be hurting him here. As now here comes Bobby Terrell looking to the inside, trying to take the race lead away from Scott Formosa. Scott slams the door on him once again. He's done that a couple of times to Bobby Terrell. He's not able to do anything with that run that he had all the way down into turn 1. He backs the corner up, gives up a ton of time going into the corner, and now he's going to try to get the big run up off the corner. Gets a pretty good run. He's going to close in on him as they come off turn 2. Is he going to be able to do anything with him down the back straightaway?
He's blocking down to the bottom side of the racetrack. Bobby Terrell, he had a good exit off that corner, but like you said, backed up his entry. Does it again into turn number 3. Let's see if he's going to be able to catch him. We're going to get to halfway this time, but we're going to wait for this battle to simmer down, if it ever will, to do your midway race break. Looks like it is right now. He did not get the exit he needed. So, Brian, I think it's just about time for a midway race break.
Yep, we just crossed the halfway point of tonight's race, so we're going to take a look at our iRacing Midway Race Break brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game with professionally organized racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, and more, and soon to be dirt. That's coming very soon, so get excited for that, guys. We're going to have a lot of fun when that comes out. Right now, race leader, well, it was Scott Formosa. Bobby Terrell just took that position away. He's going to slide in, take the race lead, so that's going to move Bobby Terrell to your race lead. Scott Formosa will be second. I'm sorry?
Let's go ahead and get through this midway race break before that lead changes again. This is some great racing up here as the 80 jumps to the top of the racetrack. He's going to get blocked. So your leader right now after the halfway point, it was the 80 of Scott Formosa, but now the 24 of Bobby Terrell going into turn number 2. Scott Formosa down to second. 12 of Greg Mall, he's up to third, and the 17 of Jamie Walker, he is down to the 4th position. Tim Matthews working his way to the back bumper of him in the 5th position. The 67 of Brian Harvey in that 6th spot. Scott Simley in the number 68 is now in that 7th spot. All the top 10 basically under a blanket here up front. The 8th position, Scott Howell. He's going to be, looks like he's going to check up to come to pit road. So pit stop's now coming. And Aaron Bennett, he's also going to come to pit road. Look out, guys, they may speed. We're going to come back to the midway race break after they complete their round of pit stops. It looks like most of your lead drivers come down. Bobby Terrell from the lead, and also Scott Formosa, like Jamie Walker, also down onto the pit lane. Brian, I'm going to send it to you.
Yeah, how about that? It looked like the top 6 drivers on the racetrack all came to pit road in unison. You'd almost think they were doing that under caution, but they just came from 170, 180 miles an hour down to 55 to make that pit stop under green, and they did it so perfectly you would have thought they had planned it. That was really incredible by all those drivers. Everybody in their pit box now looking for 4 tires and fuel. Who's going to win this race off pit road? It looks like Scott Formosa is going to inch his way out in front of Bobby Terrell. This is really important here now because under caution, it doesn't really matter how quickly you get off pit road, but for under green, trying to get an advantage on the rest of the field and trying to get up to speed quicker than everybody else is really big. And for Scott Formosa being the first truck off of pit road, he was able to do just that. He's got Bobby Terrell right behind him. That was the only driver that was really able to keep it close. And it looks like Bobby Terrell is actually to the outside of Scott Formosa. Scott staying down on the apron here. Not sure if he has a problem. Maybe he got speeding on pit road. He's still down on the apron. Looks like he's going to be coming back to pit road. This could be a huge moment for him as they work through turns 4. Yes, he is. He's coming back to pit road. He's got a speeding penalty that he has to serve. So one of our best trucks in the field now makes a big mistake under green. And unfortunately, that could cost him a shot at this win here just past the halfway point as he's back on pit road. That's going to, for the moment, put Greg Mall in as your race leader. He is on pit road right now, actually, Gabe. He's also got Michael Priester now that's going to assume the lead the next time he comes around. But Greg Mall on pit road looking for 4 tires and fuel as well.
Now, you got to think about this here, Brian. Scott Formosa, when he came down to pit road the last time after the restart, it was a run of about 20 laps. He went from a 41.5 to a 42.9 over the course of that run. So you got to think that how much time are these guys losing by staying out on the racetrack? The rest of these guys short pitted, so that's going to leave Bobby Terrell in the lead by, it looks like, a mile over some of these drivers because Looks like the 17 of Jamie Walker is about 1.3 seconds behind. That's the biggest lead we've seen all race, surprisingly. So it's been some very good racing up front. Looks like Michael Priester still in the lead. Greg Mall now coming off of pit road. Looks like he's going to get passed by that 24 Bobby Terrell as they come back up to speed. So that's going to stretch out your leaders just a little bit. So we may get time to do that midway race break here after everything sorts out.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like we will in just a moment. We're going to give it just a couple more laps to see if these guys decide to come to pit road, because we do have about 5 that have not come to pit road. Michael Priester, Randy Tesser, Riley Thompson, Justin Kleber, and Christopher Hurlow are the 5 drivers that have not yet made a pit stop. Bobby Terrell is the first driver back out there. He's already made his pit stop, and he's in 6th position. He's about 28 seconds behind the race leader, but he's running lap times that are almost 2 seconds faster than our race leader. And Michael Priester is actually on pit road right now, followed by Randy Tesser. And it looks like Riley Thompson is going to stay out to lead a lap. So this is going to shuffle through just a little bit more. Riley Thompson now takes the race lead. We still have Justin Kleber waiting to come to pit road. And Christopher Hurlow is actually on pit road now as well. So just 3 drivers, or 2 drivers, I apologize, that have not come to pit road. That would be Riley Thompson and Justin Kleber. So Bobby Terrell will move into that 4th position. And with 43 laps to go, you have to wonder, are they going to try this short pit strategy one more time? Or is somebody going to try to stretch it to the end? Because from this point, they're probably right on the edge of that fuel window, Gabe. Some of these guys might be able to make it to the end without coming back to pit road. Would it be worth trying to do that, or doing the short pit strategy and getting the fresh tires and going back out there and being able to charge?
Well, it depends on how much fuel you actually have to save. I don't know the actual fuel load that these cars are carrying, because the league administrators can manipulate the amount of fuel that the drivers can fill the car up to. But if it's more than just a few laps, if it's more than just a few laps, Brian, it's really not worth it. You know, you're having to clutch it, you have to shut the engine off if you can, but clutching it, going down the straightaway, I've been in positions where I thought I could win the race just by saving some fuel, but after a few laps, you have to realize that the time that you were losing is time that you lost on the racetrack by not pitting. You could just pit and lost my train of thought here. Where was I going with this? But you could lose that time, or you can gain that time back just by pitting. So it really just, it's kind of a gamble depending on how many laps you have. As it looks like the 24 Bobby Terrell this time by will move back to the lead. So he's going to have, looks like that gap has grown, so a 1.6 second gap over Jamie Walker. And Brian Harvey, he moves up 2 positions into that 67 machine into 3rd spot, 1.9 seconds back from the leader. He's to the back bumper, really, of that number 17. Looks like the gap growing a little bit. Greg Mall now coming into the mix. He was 4th, now going after 3rd. Little update, trying to find where our old leader was, the 80 of Scott Formosa. Looks like he is nowhere near. Looks like he's in 25th position. The second car 1 lap down in 25th position. That 80 machine behind the 69 of Randy Tesser. So that speeding penalty has absolutely screwed up that number 80's race.
Yeah, unfortunately for Scott Formosa, it looks like the only way he's going to get back into this thing would be a handful of cautions. Right now, he's not in the lucky dog spot, so he wouldn't be able to take advantage of a caution at this point, other than possibly taking the wave around and use that to try to get back on the lead lap. But now that pit stops appear to be completely cycled through, we're going to get back to that midway race break that we were not able to finish because of the pit stops happening right as we started. Bobby Terrell is your race leader. He's out there by a 1.4 second advantage over Jamie Walker, who is sitting 2nd. Greg Mall is 3rd. 4th is Brian Harvey. Scott Simley is in the 5th position. Tim Matthews sits 6th. Aaron Bennett, he was involved in that first caution. He's all the way back up to 7th. He's rebounding nicely. Jason Jacoby is 8th. Louis Robinette is 9th. And rounding out the top 10, Shane Hother is 10th.
James Nunn, the driver who finished 3rd behind that exciting finish at Phoenix. He's running in 11th, still having a good run for what is basically a new team here in the United Sim Racing Series. Michael Warren, he started 36th on the field, and he's now running in the 12th position. So another good run right there for the drivers who did not qualify. In the 34 machine, George Hendricks saw him running starting in the 29th position, one of the final drivers to qualify with the slowest time. He is in 13th. Scott Howell, in that number 20 machine, he's running 14th. 15th, Michael Priester, we saw him lead for just a few laps. Keith Butt, we saw him up front, but then slide back after a few laps. He's running in the 16th position. Seth Foudy in the number 22, we saw him involved in a caution a few laps ago, that number 17 position for that number 22 car. Todd Kirkwood in the number 9, we saw him involved in the caution a few laps ago in 18th, 19th. Stephen Herring and Riley Thompson rounds out your top 20.
21st and the last car on the lead lap right now is Justin Kleber. He's 40 seconds behind the race leader. The rest of these drivers are at least one lap down. You've got Christopher Hurlow in 22nd. Randy Tesser is 23rd. Scott Formosa is 24th. Robert Gillenwater is 25th. And the last car one lap down, Ricky Howell Jr. is 26th. Then you have Jeff Ryan. He's 27th, 6 laps down. Ralph Vandervorst is 28th, also 6 laps down. Michael Atkins Jr., he was battling up front. He was caught up in that wreck with Justin Michael. He is 29th, 7 laps down. And then 30th goes to Dwayne Dunn. He's 13 laps down. The rest of these drivers are already retired from the race here tonight. Justin Michael, Michael Waters, Jody Green, Randy Yoakum, Steve Ritter, and Brian Cutts. That is your 36 truck field here tonight. And this has been your iRacing Midway Race Break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, visit iRacing.com to sign up today. You can use the LSRTV promo code by entering PR-2016 LSRTV when you register for a new iRacing membership to get the late model free of charge, along with the 13 cars and 14 tracks included with a first-time subscription. Again, that promo code is PR-2016 LSRTV. And for all you viewers out there that are looking for some dirt racing, it is coming. We are expecting it in our March build. That's just about 3 months away, so now is the perfect time to join iRacing and get ready for some excellent racing on the dirt. It's going to be a really exciting thing, and I'm sure everybody wants to get in on that action. Back to the action here on the asphalt, though. Bobby Terrell is leading here at lap number 65. And Gabe, he's got a pretty good lead, about a second now over Greg Mall as they go down into turn 1.
Yeah, looks like Greg Mall has actually gotten around that number 17 of Jamie Walker, so he's going to move into that second position. Now, is Jamie Walker's speed just falling off that much? I don't know. It's hard to believe that the 17 was that fast early in the run, but now, once he's kind of gotten everybody into clean air in front of him, he's just lost that much speed. But I guess that's what the lead can do for you, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got a pretty good advantage right now. They got about 35 laps to go here at the Auto Club Speedway. We're going to take one more break to do a little bit of business, but we're going to do it LSRTV nonstop, so you don't miss a moment of the action. This is LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. We'll be right back.
So obviously,
it was more than impressive, I have to say. I mean, the track is identical to the real track. I was blown away how realistic it is. Every little bump, every little spray paint, everything is exactly like you were there at the track. It was a great experience.
This is a warm-up lap now. Tires to get warmed up. The engine. Breathe a little bit here when you go through that little bump there. And then it's flat pretty much all the way through here, just about. Hard braking. This is the slowest part of the track.
And then I've done, I did many races in Formula 3, Formula 2. And then I did the very last race they did there in Group C in 1983 in the 956 Porsche. That's when Beloff got the lap record at the 611. I think I was second on the grid with the 614 or something, which was, I mean, those cars were awesome around there, of course, like any car is, that speed.
And this is the corner of all corners here, the Swedenkreuz. Flat all the way into it. And then trail brake all the way into the apex here. And then hard at it again, get good speed down the hill here. Mega fast down this hill here. Just jump from one apex to the next. Gotta be super precise here.
I mean, it's almost exactly like the real thing. So, I mean, it is certainly realistic enough to get past the very, a lot of the initial hurdles you have when you try to learn to drive a race car, So, I mean, I think it's a It's an excellent tool to learn how to race for sure, or learn to drive a car on a racetrack.
Welcome back to tonight's coverage of the Turo Turf Equipment 200 here at the Auto Club Speedway. We're 69 now, coming to 70 laps into this race, and Bobby Terrell, he's got the lead, but he doesn't have a very big one now. While we were away, you got to see all the action. Greg Mall was able to close that gap down to just under 2/10 here as they work through turns 1 and 2. He's right on that back bumper as he comes off the corner, and he wants the race lead. They're going to deal with a little bit of lap traffic, though, to get around the race leader here. Bobby Terrell looks to the inside of that lap traffic. He's able to get by him cleanly, and now here comes Greg Mall right on the back bumper of him as they head off into turn 3. He's got a good-looking truck there as they get through the middle of the corner. He's really able to get it to the bottom of the racetrack, get the run off the corner. Here he comes off turn 4. Greg Mall for the race lead for the first time tonight. If he can get to the stripe, is he going to get there? We'll see in just a moment. At the stripe, it's going to be so close, and it looks like Bobby Terrell is just barely going to be able to hang on, but they're still side by side going off into turn 1. Gabe and Greg Mall is going to take that spot.
That Smith & Wesson Young Guns Motorsports white number 12 car is going to go to the lead for the first time tonight, but not for long. It looks like if the 24 has anything to say about it, he's going to be to the back bumper. He's going to trade some paint. It looks like he's going to push him down the back straightaway. We're not at Daytona anymore, boys. Hang on to it. He's at that 24. He's going to back off, do the same thing he did to get around the 17 of Jamie Walker, or excuse me, the 80 of Scott Formosa. He's going to back up his corners and try and get a little bit of a run on that number 12. But for the first time tonight, that 12 machine is going to get to the lead. I believe our 5th green flag leader of the night here on lap number 72, closing in on 1 quarter to go, 3/4 distance in the 100-lap race. It's been a long race here. Brian just crossed the 1 hour mark. Had a couple of cautions, couple of breaks, but now I think we're on about a 40 or maybe, 40 lap run. So these guys have already gone through green flag pit stops, and we may see it again.
Yeah, we expect to see it at least one more time, and when they get to the stripe this time by, they would hit exactly 40 laps under green. They went back green flag racing on lap number 33, and they're coming to lap 73 here, so 40 laps on the mark here that they went green flag. It's going to be interesting. Can they do it for another 27 laps? We'll have to wait and see. They've done it for quite a while. This could be the moment. But for how about Jamie Walker, though? We were just talking about him. You were mentioning it right before we went to commercial break that he had fallen off quite a bit. He's 3 seconds behind this battle for the race lead. Did he have a bad pit stop? Is this just a bad set of tires? What's going on the number 17 machine? Because this is not the speed that we have seen out of that truck all night long. To be this far behind these two drivers in the closing stages of this race, that's not where you want to be when you've had one of the best trucks out here all night.
Well, Brian, when he came off of pit road, he's about 1.2 seconds behind Bobby Terrell, and then he closed down that gap just a little bit, and after that, he's just fallen off the face of the earth. I know you want to save tires here, but when you get to 3 seconds off the pace, or 3.3 now, you can still make that gap up, but now it looks like he's under threat from the 68 and the 67, and looks like we got a couple of cars coming off of pit road, and we got a caution here. Looks like the number 9 of Todd Kirkwood spinning down the back straightaway.
I think we jinxed it when we started talking about how impressive this long green flag run was. They made it just over 40 laps, 41 laps to be exact, before they had their first caution of the evening. And unfortunately, that's how it's going to be, though, as Todd Kirkwood, he took a pretty big hit off turn 2. He got sideways, tried to save it, then overcorrected it back into the outside wall, head on into the outside wall. More than likely going to be the end of his night, or at least going to severely hurt his chances at getting a good finish here tonight. Unfortunate for him, but we're back under caution, and this works out perfectly for the number 17 machine, because now that 3.5 second deficit that he had created, it's gone. He's going to be back on the back bumper of these guys, and he has an opportunity to maybe do something with it, as they're probably going to come to pit road here. I can't see any reason why they wouldn't, with 25 laps left in the race. You have to believe everybody's going to come down and get 4 fresh tires, maybe for the last time here tonight. And we'll have to see what happens. Greg Mall is the race leader, though. He's one guy, Gabe, that I'm sure is disappointed, because he had ran down Bobby Terrell from over a second back and was starting to pull away from him before that caution came out. I'm certain that he wanted to see this thing stay green if he had that opportunity.
And you have to wonder, what's the fuel window going to be like? Because I'm not sure I believe the fuel run we ran on, Brian, was about 20 laps or so, maybe 30. I think it's going to be pretty close.
The first run that they ran before they came to pit road, they went to green on lap 33, and the first set of pit stops came on lap 55. So that's 22 laps. Not sure if that was forced down by fuel or if they came down to try to short pit and get the fresh tires. You're very close on that. This could be a very interesting race. I did look into some of the information, and the admins in this series, they have elected to limit the fuel to 60%, so they don't have a full fuel cell. They cannot fill this thing all the way to the max like you normally would, so definitely a shorter fuel run for most of
the
these
24.
drivers.
I hate to cut you off, but the 24 missed his pit stall. He had to back up.
And that could be big for him as he lost a little bit of time coming into the pit road, and have to wait and see what happens here as Greg Mall is going to easily win the battle off pit road. Jamie Walker is going to come out second, maybe to Brian Harvey. He might have got that position. Looks like he did. Brian Harvey will come out third, and then Bobby Terrell, who was second, he's going to fall back to fourth. But we're going to have to pay attention to this because this could be very interesting. They've got 24 laps left when they come back around to the green or to the start-finish line. When they came to pit road under green, that was 22 laps, so we could have ourselves a little bit of a fuel mileage race coming up.
I think we might be good. When you looked at the stats, was that off of the leaders?
Yes, that
when
was
they
off
came
of
to pit
the
road?
leaders.
Okay, so we may be good to go here on fuel because we had a couple of guys stay out afterwards, and they stayed out for a good maybe 5 laps or 4 or 5 laps after the leaders pitted. So I think we may be good on fuel, but you never know with the speeds these guys run around here. We might just burn a little bit extra fuel off and make it a little exciting.
Well, that's what we need, is some excitement. This has been a really exciting race all night long, so why not add a little bit more to it right at the conclusion of this thing? But for Greg Mall, he wants this thing to stay green because he had a really good long-run truck. He was able to run down and pass Bobby Terrell and then was beginning to pull away before that caution came out. So certainly he knows he's got a good truck for the long run. He wants to keep it that way. Going to be very interesting to see what he does on the restart. Of course, these drivers, they can pick which line they'd like to go back to when they come take the green flag. So far, every single restart, the leader has taken the inside line, so I have to believe that he's going to do the same. But I'm riding on board with Greg Mall right now, and something very interesting, he's clutching, so he's saving some fuel under this caution, so it might be closer than we actually believe. He's sitting there going through the corner right now, and he's shutting the truck off and letting it coast through the corner. So obviously he feels the need to try to save a little bit of fuel here. Really going to be interesting to see what happens with this final restart if it goes green to the finish.
Yeah, it's interesting iRacing. It's got a pretty decent mechanic for fuel because it may say that you can go maybe 25, 26 laps on a tank of fuel, but as you start running faster and faster, that time will go down. So you'll go from maybe 30 laps of fuel to 20 laps of fuel in the course of a run, and just run 20 laps of fuel before the tank is empty. So you can't really tell unless you run practice laps and calculate it. Maybe the 12 did run practice laps and calculate the amount of fuel he could run on. Maybe he didn't. But if he did, and he's saving fuel, this could be big.
We're going to have to wait and see what happens here. Looks like we're going to have a handful of trucks that are going to try to take the wave around. Aaron Bennett, Tim Matthews, Justin Kleber, Scott Formosa. He was one of these front runners until he had that speeding penalty on pit road. He's trying to take a wave around. Actually, he is, I believe he got a lap back as he's one lap down, so I guess not. He's back there just trying to hang on. At this point, he needs another caution so he can get the wave by and get back on the lead lap. But for Aaron Bennett, Tim Matthews, and Justin Kleber, they're taking the wave around. They're going to be on the tail end of the lead lap. They need a caution so that they can get fresh tires. Going to be very interesting to see what happens here, though, as they get around to get their lap back. Greg Mall is the race leader. Jamie Walker will start to hit outside. Then we have Brian Harvey, Bobby Terrell, and Scott Simley. And then how about Jason Jacoby? He's having a very quiet night, Gabe. He started in the 30th position. He did not take a lap in qualifying, but he has had a very solid night, slowly working his way to the front. He might be a silent factor in this race before it's all said and done. We haven't really talked about him, but we're getting to that point of the race where if you want to make some noise, now is the time to do it. Maybe this is his time to shine.
This may be it. Yeah, like you said, he's been slowly working his way up now into the 6th position. Started in 30th, did not take a time. Was actually 27th in practice, so he has not shown the speed all day. But right now, where it counts, at the end of the race, it looks like he is fast. And Brian, I was just looking at something there on the LSRTV YouTube page. We're actually closing in on 4,000 subscribers. on YouTube, and I know we don't get that many views per session. We would love to, but it's nice to know that 4,000 people are keeping up with what's happening here on LSRTV. So we'd like to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's broadcast, and all of them here on the LSRTV Racing Network.
Yeah, absolutely. Without people tuning in to watch these races, we don't have a reason to do what we do. And here we go. Pace car is in. Green flag is out once again. Greg Mall gets a pretty decent restart, but so does Jamie Walker. To the outside, he's going to try to hang on to his right rear quarter panel as they go off into turn 1. Is he going to try to dive to the bottom? He dives in line for now as they get to turns 1 and 2. Jamie Walker, who has had some excellent short run speed, now closes right in on the back bumper of Greg as they come off turn 2. They've already broke away to about a 3-car length advantage over Brian Harvey, who is battling hard for trying to hang on to that 3rd position. He's got some competition coming behind him. The number 68 of Scott Simley's trying to get there. Bobby Terrell on the outside, and here comes Jason Jacoby right behind him. Racing Jason trying to make something happen in the closing stages of this race. Meanwhile, back to the front, here comes Jamie Walker trying to get the run. Looks like he has the opportunity, but he's not going to take it. He stays right on the back bumper of Greg as they cross the start-finish line.
3 wide for 5th as they cross the start-finish line. Jason Jacoby made it 3 wide, but now he's going to think better of it coming into turn number 1. He's going to fall back into that 6th spot. Scott Simley to the inside of Bobby Terrell as he moves to the outside of the racetrack. Scott Simley into 4th, and there goes Greg Mall. Looks like the tires have worn out just a little bit on Jamie Walker. Now that number 12 of Greg Mall is now pulling away in that United Sim Racing Young Guns Motorsports. And as I say that, didn't even get to finish it by the time his little sponsor plugs there, because Jamie Walker drove it hard into turn number 3, and now he's going to come off a 4 with a little bit of a run. But he's still got about 2.5 car lengths between those two machines in spots 1 and 2. I think the 67 of Brian Harvey, this is the highest we've seen him all night. He's kind of stagnated there in that 3rd spot, but he's still running good on the final step of the podium.
Yeah, he has been silent all night long, kind of like Jason Jacoby. He's ran up inside the top 10 most of the night, Brian Harvey has. This is the closest he's been to the front, and this is the time where you want to get to the front. Just like Jason Jacoby, if you want to shine, now is the time to do it, and he's doing just that as he's moved into that 3rd position. He's right behind Greg Mall and Jamie Walker, sitting back there waiting for something to happen. If these two get to racing side by side, he can try to pounce and maybe make it a 3-way battle for the lead. However, right now, that's not the case, as Greg Mall is stretching this lead out a little bit, as he's got it up to almost a 3-car length advantage over Jamie Walker. So now the question has to be, is Jamie Walker saving tires? Did he use them up already? Is Greg Mall running too hard too soon? There's a lot of questions to be asked right here.
Big hornet's nest of race cars, and we're going to look back here from the lead, but around the top 15, top 10, these drivers are just racing hard for every position they can get around Scott Howell, Keith Butt. Looks like maybe the 16 is in there as well. Maybe. Looks like that's what I'm seeing. No, it's the 64. It's the 22, 34. Everybody, Michael Priester, we saw him lead there a few laps here earlier. They're 2 wide, 5 rows back. It's getting exciting here. Everybody racing for that final spot inside the top 10. Keith Butt had it last time around, but now they're going to come to the finish line. They're 3 wide coming out of turn number 2, but they're going to think better of it coming off of the exit. That number 20, it's like Scott Howell. Yeah, he's going to move into that 8th position, or at least he's going to keep it for the time being. Louis Robinette in that number 30 machine. Hadn't talked about him all night. I don't believe he's running good. Oh, the 3, he's going to try and dive it down into turn number 3, but it's not going to work. He's going to jump on the brakes. Now he's going to lose that momentum. The 20 pushes up the racetrack into the 30. It's getting exciting here around the top 10, but it's kind of stagnated up front. Everybody running single file up front, but the real battle is back here for these final few positions outside and inside the top 10. Brian, it's getting good.
Yeah, this has been a great battle for the last couple of laps. Scott Howell in the number 20 makes a little bit of contact again with the number 30 machine as they come off the corner. Now here comes Keith Butt looking to the inside of Scott Howell. He's going to try to take that position away, maybe make it a 2-for-1 special as they get to turn 3. He's also looking to the inside of the number 30 machine of Louis Robinette as he almost makes contact with the left rear, and he does.
He's going to hook it.
Keith Butt. He's sideways off turn 4. Caution is out. He's not going to make contact with anything. He's just going to spin it off the corner, and he's going to come back up onto the racetrack. No damage for the number 3, but this does change everything. He's got a caution on the straightaway or on the speedway once again. And for replay is on your screen now. You just saw some good hard racing that just unfortunately went wrong there off turn 4. He was doing everything he could, just trying to take that position away from the number 30. He got kicked a little sideways and unfortunately just wasn't able to hang on to it. Did a great job not letting that truck go in and hit the inside wall, but he's going to lose a good amount of track position right there. And now, Gabe, with this caution, 15 laps to go, got to believe everybody's going to come back to pit road for one more stop. 4 fresh tires and some fuel. This erases any kind of doubts about the fuel strategy, because now when they come back to pit road, everybody's going to be good to go.
Looks like everybody's going to hug that white line around the bottom side of the racetrack. It looks like they're all giving a signal that they are coming to pit road. They're going to stack him up. At least Greg Mall is. He's the leader. He can control the speed. Everybody comes on the pit road. He's going to come down, and so will everybody behind him. See if anybody's going to gamble. I don't think they will, because when we get the restart, we'll have about maybe 11 or 12 laps to go. I think that's a little too long to stay out on old tires. We haven't seen anybody gamble with that all night. We've seen them pass through pit road, but we've seen them just do that just to get a lap led. I don't think we're going to see that here tonight, but we could get surprised. Let's see Greg Mall. He is way back there on pit lane in that number 12 machine. Looks like one car had to back up there in his pit stall, but looks like it wasn't too. It looks like Scott Howell maybe had to back up in his pit stall. But let's see the race coming off of pit road. Who is that?
Number 22, Seth Foudy. It looks like he may have taken 2 tires.
Wow, did he take 2 tires?
Yes, he did. He took 2 tires, and he's going to win the race off pit road. And then you have Greg Mall right behind them, Jamie Walker. Then comes out Scott Simley, then James Nunn. It looks like he may have taken 2 tires as well. So a couple of guys taking some chances here. It looks like the only one that's really going to get paid off for it is going to be the guy that won the battle off pit road, and that's Seth Foudy in the number 22 machine. So really big there for him. But one person that did make out pretty good with this caution is Scott Formosa. He got the lucky dog. He's back on the lead lap, and while it may be too little too late, at least he has an opportunity now to try to make something of this race, as he's going to be back on the lead lap racing for position with some of these guys. He may not be able to get up there and battle for the race lead, but maybe he can try to get up inside that top 10, maybe top 15, and just salvage a decent run out of this thing. Unfortunately for him, that speeding penalty really took him out of contention. He probably had one of the best opportunities to go up there and challenge some of these guys for the race lead and maybe that win, but unfortunately, a speeding penalty under green, that's a killer at a track like this, because you're going to lose so much time on that pit road. Pit road speed is so slow when everybody's doing 180 miles an hour.
Looks like Keith Butt. Did he stay out? Looks like he stayed out, and he's going to inherit the lead. So Seth Foudy, he's going to be in the second spot here for the restart. But Keith Butt, he ran up front here a few laps, but we saw him drop to the back of the field. He's been hovering around that top 10 position. We saw him in that scrap for the 8th, 9th, and 10th spots there a few laps ago. But he's going to try and win it here, or maybe at least try and lead a lap here with just over 10 laps to go. That number 3 Bass Pro Shops machine, we've seen him be good on a short run, but I don't think he's got the speed, especially on old tires, to stay up front. I think he's just pulling a one lap and done just to try and lead a lap.
Well, and this could be an interesting strategy. I mean, I think there's too many laps left for this to win him the race, but if he can get a couple of quick cautions, he might still be able to get a decent finish out of this thing, assuming that he elects to stay out there and keep the race lead. And he does have a little bit of help in one driver that took 2 tires that'll restart right behind him, and Seth Foudy. James Nunn's not really going to be much of a factor as far as he's concerned, because he's a few positions behind these 2 drivers, but he could have an opportunity if he can get a quick caution, like maybe going off into turn 1. He might be able to hang on to this thing, and a cycle on these tires could actually benefit him, because even though the drivers behind him have some fresh tires, if they get a heat cycle on the tires, it may not equalize them, but it'll certainly help Keith Butt in the sense that they won't be able to get as much out of their tires as they would if it just stayed green and they had to run to the conclusion. So an interesting strategy call, maybe not a race-winning call, but definitely a call that is applauded, because it gives him an opportunity to maybe steal this thing. As the lights are off on the pace car here, I wanted to call it the iRacing Ford First Mustang, but we haven't had the Ford First Mustang out here tonight, so it's not that one anymore. We do have we're going to go back green with 12 laps to go. Gabe, yeah, you're right. It hasn't been that one in like 4 years. I am sorry, but it used to be that one. Leave me alone here. Keith Butt Jr.
You're too old
Butt.
for iRacing, aren't you?
Hey.
You've been on here too long.
And producer Cisco Scaramouche is stepping in saying it's only been a year, so nobody knows what's going on. All we know is we got a beautiful new pace car. We've got 11 laps of action, though, to call. We've got to focus on that. Keith Butt is out front. Seth Fowdy outside of row number 1 with 2 tires. And then we have Greg Maw in 3rd, Jamie Walker in 4th, Scott Simley is 5th. And all of these drivers are going to be hunting that race lead when we go back green here. 11 laps. When they take the green flag, have we seen the last caution, Gabe, or are we going to go green to the end?
Well, with the drivers on 2 tires and the 1 driver on no tires, I would like to say that we're going to go green to the end, but with the amount of drivers trying to get around these front 3 cars, or front 2 cars, and the 75 of James Nunn there in the back, I don't see us going green. I think we're going to have one more wreck here for these guys just trying to scramble for positions, but I did it, didn't I? The Porsche pace car is going to pull off of pit road, and the green flag is going to come in the air. The 3 gets a good restart. Got a good restart. He's going to get a great restart. In fact, yeah, he's going to move into the lead. And excuse me, Cisco corrected me. Porsche is not allowed in video games apparently. But the 12 of Greg Maul, he's going to move into that second spot. So he's already passed a couple of the drivers that were on 2 tires. He's going to move into the first or the best of the rest. And now he's going to go to the inside of Keith Butt there on the number 3 as they go into turn number 3. The 12 white car on the inside, followed by the 17, that discount tire on the inside. A little bit of contact there between the 68 of Scott Simley and another car, I believe that was the 22 of Fowdy. The 17 gets into the wall, the 30 is going to drop to the bottom. They're going to be 3 wide, everybody's going to hang on to it. 4, 5 wide.
Everybody's dodging, and there's the wreck. Keith Butt Jr. and many others around on the front straightaway. Huge wreck. And that is huge here on the restart. Lap number 90. We do have one truck that hit the inside wall hard that looked like the number 68 machine of Scott Simley. And several of our top 10 front runners just got caught up in a huge wreck. That all started off turn 4. Keith Butt was trying to make something happen behind Jamie Walker. Jamie got into the wall that stacked everybody up. And then they went 4 or 5 wide down the front straightaway, and the gap just closed, and unfortunately it ends with a humongous wreck. Probably 5, 6, 7 trucks involved, and just absolutely devastating for many of those drivers. But Greg Maul comes out on top of all of that as he's back to the race lead. Jamie Walker is second, but Gabe, he's got a good bit of right side damage. He slammed the heck out of that turn 4 wall. You mentioned it all night long. That turn 4 wall was eventually going to bite somebody, and it looks like it just bit one of our front runners.
Yeah, bites the 17 of Jamie Walker. I want to talk about something real quick. I think, you'd like to blame the 3 for coming up, the Keith Butt machine, that Bass Pro Shops orange car, but iRacing's spotter, at least the default one I know, it only goes to 3 wide, I believe. So he didn't know there were that many cars above him. Oh, it still goes 4 wide, but there were 5 cars at least under a blanket there. So he may have not known that there were 3 cars above him. I think he was trying to shove the 68 assembly up the racetrack, but there was no more racetrack to be had up there.
Yeah, well, that's a case where the default spotter can only do so much in a video game. Unfortunately, while you would like for it to be as accurate as possible, when you get into a situation like that, it's kind of difficult. That's where having a live spotter can sometimes be very beneficial. Some of these drivers do actually elect to do that. They'll have somebody that they're friends with that'll come in and they'll actually watch the race and play that role of a spotter, and sometimes even the role of a crew chief if you're in an open setup race where you can actually go in and make adjustments to the car or truck. They'll come in and they'll actually make those adjustments for you. So all you have to do is worry about driving the car and let them do all the other lifting for you. So that's the benefit. Some of the benefits that iRacing has given us, being able to have that as an option. It's a really cool feature that iRacing has added in the recent couple of years. Definitely something to check out if you're just joining this service. Which again, they have a really excellent promo. That wonderful promo where you can get the late model free of charge and everything else. And remember, Dirt's coming soon, so just keep that in mind. That's going to be very exciting, Gabe. They've got a couple of really cool cars out. They've got Eldora scanned. That's going to be a lot of fun too once that arrives, and certainly going to be something to check out. Well, I'm sure we'll have some coverage of that on LSRTV because there's a lot of people looking to run those cars and really get a feel for that.
Yeah, I think now is the right time, at least, for what we like to call in the iRacing service, the rookies, to get through the rookie series, at least in the street stocks on ovals, So you guys who have never really raced on sim racing, or at least raced online, can get acclimated with racing with real people and getting in the racing environment like you see right now. And then when the dirt comes, you'll really be acclimated with just racing in general, and it'll be a lot easier transition. So whether you use the promo code that we have or not, that's up to you if you want the late model or not, if you ever plan on racing it, but or at least the asphalt late model. We're not giving you the dirt late model, not yet. But I would take advantage of any kind of opportunity I would have to get on the iRacing service now, because in March there's going to be a whole influx of people and a whole influx of drivers who have never driven on a simulator before, so I really would not want to be around them. I would like to get acclimated as soon as possible.
Absolutely. It's going to be really exciting. It's going to be a very big moment for iRacing. A lot of the sim racers that have been here for a long time, they have been looking for dirt for a long time, and they're finally able to get that. And just this is a big opportunity for them and for everybody that is looking to join the iRacing service. This is definitely something to look forward to because it's a big feature, and we already have a lot of exciting features here on iRacing. All the different racing series that you can pick from, the official racing series. Then you have leagues like we're calling here tonight with United Sim Racing. This is one of the best leagues out there to join. So if you're looking to join iRacing and you're looking to join a league where you can race with some guys that you can get familiar with, this is a great league to check into. United Sim Racing, they got a lot of really exciting drivers, a lot of good racing going on. They got the trucks here on Saturday nights. This is a very competitive series, so this would be one to check out if you're wanting to get into this. I definitely recommend that. We also have some other leagues that we cover here on LSRTV. Real Sim Racing, they put on a heck of a show. They have the Full Throttle Cup Series during the regular NASCAR season, where they follow the NASCAR, what was the Sprint Cup, now it's going to be Monster Series. But they follow that schedule. Now they have the Icebreaker Series. Their Winter Icebreaker Series runs on Monday nights at 9:30. It's the Class B Xfinity car that you can check out on Monday nights. It's a very exciting series. They don't have any openings right now, but it'll be something to check out and possibly get involved in the upcoming Cup Series.
You can watch our commentator Brian Macklin along with the rest of some of the LSRTV gang racing in the Icebreaker series, and that was a shameless plug for us to watch Brian Macklin. Apparently, if you wanted us to watch you race, you should have joined in the race today. Oh wait, you did.
All right. Yeah, Monday nights I am in the field. I haven't had a very good start. I've been wrecked in the first two races that I ran. We're going to get going, though. We're going to get a good season going. We're going to try to win when we go to Texas this week. But we got to focus on this one. We got at least one more, probably the last restart of the race. Lights are off on that beautiful pace car. And for Greg Mall, he just wants to see this thing come to the conclusion. Jamie Walker, though, he wants to try to challenge him here as we're going to go back green with about 6 laps to go. Gabe, get back on focus here for just a moment. Jamie Walker, Greg Mall, the front row. You got Seth Foudy on 2 tires, and in row number 2, who's the favorite on this last restart?
I don't know. I like Greg Mall lately. Early in the race, I would say the 17 of Jamie Walker, but we're coming down to iRacing's version, basically, of the green-white checker, because it takes 5 laps to cycle through a caution sequence, and we are now within 5 laps to go. So if we get a caution, we may get a restart, we may not, but within 5 laps to go, the race is over with. The green flag back in the air. The 12 of Greg Mall is going to take it to the start-finish line at 68, the 22 of Seth Foudy. He's hanging in there on those two old tires and those 2 new right-side tires. Looks like the 17 of Jamie Walker, he's going to drop down to the 3rd position at least. The 11 of Shane Hawthorne, this is the highest we've seen him all day. He's going to move into that 4th position maybe, and the 1 of Jason Jacoby right behind him. But now we've got a battle for basically the entire top 10. Oh, we got 1 car in the back of the wall. Didn't see who it was. It was a white car on the top side of the racetrack. That 17 of Jamie Walker, he's going to go to the bottom side of the racetrack in turn number 3. He's going to get around the number 22 of Seth Foudy, moves into the 2nd spot, and is going to go after. If he doesn't hit the wall coming off of 4, he's going to push up. So he's going to see if he can get the momentum off of turn number 4 as the 24 of Bobby Terrell. He's going to make it 3 wide on the top side of the racetrack.
The problem Jamie Walker is facing right now is he has heavy right side damage from when that caution came out just a few laps ago. He made heavy contact with the turn 4 wall, and that's certainly affecting his momentum. The one person this is really helping is Greg Mall. He's got a huge 5-6 car length advantage over these guys battling for that second position. Bobby Terrell is trying to squeeze his way through. He was able to shove Jamie Walker down the back straightaway and move him clear into second place and move himself into third. And now as they come off turn 4, he's trying to get that run off the corner to take second away. Wasn't able to do it. There's some blocking going on behind him as right now Seth Foudy is doing everything he can, just trying to hang on for the last couple of laps here. He blocks him all the way down to the grass. He almost blocked him to the commitment cone, or the cone coming off of pit road. Able to hang on to that position though. He's in fourth, and now he's forced them side by side behind him. Jason Jacoby and Shane Hother, they're side by side as they come off turn 2, battling for that 5th position.
Battles all around the racetrack. Battle for second. Bobby Terrell has moved to the inside of the 17 of Jamie Walker into turn number 3. Let's see if he can get it done. He's going to keep it pinned to the bottom side of the racetrack, see if he can get the momentum off of turn number 4. The 17 goes high. He's going to stay up there, and that 24 is going to maybe get to the line first or second. Looks like he's going to maybe get him as timing and scoring comes around. 1/1000th of a second separated the two cars.
One. Jason Jacoby is sideways as they go off into turn 1. That's going to bring the caution out, and the race is over. Jason Jacoby was trying to take the position away from Seth Foudy. Tim Matthews was to his inside. He turned him sideways, and he made heavy contact with the outside wall. And that's going to end this thing. Greg Mall, you're going to see the replay on your screen. Greg Mall is going to be the victor if he can hang on under caution for just a couple of more laps. Huge impact for the number 1 of Jason Jacoby, and that's devastating because he had such a good run going. He had started 30th. He took a provisional, did not qualify, and this just took him out of the race. He's going to go from running up inside the top 5 to probably finishing well outside of the top 20. But for Greg Mall, he is going to come away with the win here tonight. Incredible drive in the second half of this race for him, Gabe. He was quietly in the top 10 all night long, and then we got that real long green flag run, the cycle of green flag pit stops. He was able to get up there and challenge Bobby Terrell for the lead, take it away, and then from there it was pretty much just lights out. He was able to just drive away with this thing.
Brian, before we get to the checkered flag, I want to point out something. Look in the 10th position. Who is running there? I believe it's the number 80 of Scott Formosa. I cannot believe he drove a damaged race car, or at least what should be a damaged race car, to a top 10 position. And look behind him, Aaron Bennett drove it to 11th.
Yeah, great rebound for both of those drivers. They were both caught up in wrecks. Aaron Bennett was caught up in a wreck, and for Scott Formosa, he had that speeding penalty on pit road. They both rebounded beautifully and were able to get really good finishes out of this thing. So kudos to them for sticking it out and being able to fight through the adversity and get a great finish. And for a couple of these guys, though, they're going to lose quite a few points. I was just looking at the points battle, and Justin Michael, he was 4 points behind points leader Jamie Walker coming into this thing. And with what's going to be a really rough night for him, he's going to lose a ton of spots as he is going to unofficially finish 32nd here tonight. That's going to really hurt him in the points battle. Fortunately, though, this is a very long season. He's got plenty of time to try to make that time back up. For Jamie Walker, though, another great finish for him. Gets a third-place finish here tonight. That's going to work out great for him trying to defend this points battle, or defend this points lead, as Riley Thompson and Scott Simley were the next closest drivers. They were just 1 and 2 points behind, respectively, and he beat both of those drivers. So he's going to easily hold on to this points lead here tonight. But how about Greg Mall? This is going to be his first win on the season. I was just looking at that as well. He's had a pretty solid season through 4 starts. He's got a top 5 and 2 top 10s. He's going to add to that tonight with a victory here, and he's going to gain a few points and try to close in on that points lead as they get ready to come around. You see these guys are giving him a congratulatory bump. Jamie Walker just went up and gave him a little bit of a door bump, saying, hey, you ran a great race. Congrats on the win. They're working through turns 3 and 4, though, behind that new pace car. And when they get around to the start-finish line, Greg Mall is going to take the checkered flag, his first victory on the season. It's going to be a very big one for him. We expect to see quite the celebration here in just a moment. As they come off turn 4, they're coming to the checkered flag. The flagman's already holding the checkered flag up. and Greg Mall will come to take the checkered flag. His first victory here is going to come in the Toro Turf Equipment 200 at the Auto Club Speedway. Greg Mall is your race winner, followed by Bobby Terrell, then Jamie Walker, Seth Bowdy, and Michael Priester, your top 5.
What a great race. And I don't think if the caution would have come out, I think we'd still see the same order, at least basically the same order, because Greg Mall, for the second half of this race, I would have said Jamie Walker would have had the first half of this race. I would have thought he would have walked away after the 87 and the 88 wrecked out early. But after that halfway point, the bottom fell out of that number 17. I don't know what happened. But as soon as he got out of the clean air and the 12 hit it, he was out of here. It was a 1.2 second lead after pit stops, and it grew to a 3 second lead. And after a few cautions, he ends up getting the victory. Brian, this is one of the best races at Auto Club I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. This was an incredible race from start to finish, and it's going to finish with Greg Mall getting his first win on the season. He's going to burn it down here at the start-finish line and celebrate his victory. And when we get back from our commercial break, we're going to talk to him and the other top 3 finishers. We're going to step away real quick, do one last bit of business, and then we'll give you the full field rundown, and we'll talk to our race winner. This is LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Please stay tuned.
You know, the straights are unbelievably long. The first time you come here, everyone tells you, you know, you'll be flat out 6th gear for 20 seconds. First time I was here, I lifted halfway down the straight. I didn't believe that it was still going. I was waiting to brake, and I was back on the power. And the Porsche curves are extremely fast and extremely narrow, so it's a tricky track. And, you know, every year I've come here, you learn something new every time.
Le Mans is so fast. Wherever you accelerate, you are over 150 miles per hour. Going there, I realized everything you have done before was nothing.
This is Circuit de la Sarthe, known around the racing world simply as Le Mans. Since 1923, this track in western France has been home to the world's original 24-hour endurance race. Coupled with the likes of the legendary Indianapolis 500 and the Monaco Grand Prix, the 24 Hours of Le Mans is widely regarded as the world's most prestigious endurance race, and it forms a part of motorsport's Treble Crown. The first race was held on the outskirts of Le Mans back in 1906 and was called the French Grand Prix, the first Grand Prix of its kind. It was run on public roads, with one lap of the circuit stretching just over 103 kilometers. Then, in 1922, the secretary of the AECO, Georges Durand, was given 100,000 francs to facilitate and devise a new race for the region. Durand took this as an opportunity to stage something completely unheard of, a 24-hour endurance race that would push the modern race car to its limits, where manufacturers would prove their worth to the world. Durand's original Circuit de la Sarthe stretched 17.2 kilometers and was entirely comprised of public roads. It ventured into the city of Le Mans and stretched to a tight hairpin, before venturing on to the 8-kilometer long Mulsanne Straight. In 1929, the hairpin was bypassed due to safety concerns with expanding town suburbs, and safety was always a thing that changed and progressed the racetrack over the years. In 1932, the track as we know began to take shape. That was prompted by the construction of a new 1.5 kilometer bypass running from the start-finish area to the new entrance of the Mulsanne Straight, the now infamous Tête Rouge corner. This section featured the fast first curve that remains today, and what would later become the location of the famous Dunlop Bridge. Now, back in 1923, it was a field of 33 drivers that competed in the inaugural event, and their average speed, 57 miles an hour. By 1956, the field had increased to 49 cars, and they were running at nearly twice the average speed, at 104 miles an hour. As the cars became quicker and the competition rose, the track continued to evolve. For example, in 1972, the final section of the track was completely reconfigured to bypass the dangerous Maison Blanche kink. This included the addition of the Porsche curves and the revised Ford chicanes to slow the cars on the run from Arnage corner to the start-finish line. These features remain today. One of the then traditional aspects of the race was the Le Mans start. Drivers would stand across to the track where the cars were parked, and then at the drop of the French tricolor, they ran to their car, climbed in, fired the engine, engaged first gear, and pulled away in a cloud of exhaust and burned rubber. Not surprisingly, this was discontinued for safety reasons, as drivers would either rush to buckle their seatbelts, or they didn't even bother buckling them at all. Dan Gurney, who together with AJ Foyt won the 1967 race, famously recounted using his knees to steer his Ford GT Mark II on their opening lap at speeds well above 200 miles an hour whilst he fastened his seatbelt. Since 1971, Le Mans has reverted to the more traditional rolling start used throughout endurance racing today. Le Mans will ever be known as a proving ground for car manufacturers and a lifelong dream for drivers. It continues to rank as the pinnacle of endurance racing that inspires similar races to take shape around the world. Things like the 24 Hours of the Nürburgring, or the 24 Hours of Spa, or the Rolex 24 at Daytona. But there will only ever be one Le Mans. Experience Le Mans on iRacing.
Welcome back to the conclusion of tonight's Turo Turf Equipment 200 here at the Auto Club Speedway, where we just saw Greg Mall tackle this monster and go to victory lane. We're going to talk to him and our third place finisher here in just a moment, but first we're going to do the full field rundown. Greg Mall, of course, was your race winner here tonight. Bobby Terrell finishes in the second position. Jamie Walker, who was up front for most of the event, finishes third. Seth Bowdy will finish fourth after a two-tire gamble. That was a pretty good strategy call on his part to get a good finish. Michael Priester will finish fifth. Shane Hother is sixth. Seventh goes to Tim Matthews. Steve Herring, how about that? Started 37th on the night. He's going to finish eighth. Scott Howell will finish ninth. And rounding out the top 10, overcoming a speeding penalty, Scott Formosa will come home with a 10th place finish.
Aaron Bennett last week at Phoenix lost by a rear bumper. This week he loses by 10 positions, but still a decent finish after being involved in the first incident of the night. He ends up in the 11th spot in that number 33 car truck. The 28 of Michael Warren, he will finish in the 12th spot. 13th is going to go to Justin Cleaver. We saw him lead a few laps there early in the race. Number 14 position is going to go to George Hendricks. Randy Tesser is going to come home in the 15th spot. Christopher Hurlow was another one involved in an incident, started 32nd, ended up in that wreck with Aaron Bennett. He comes home in the 16th position. Louis Robinette in the 30 car is going to come home in 17th. Keith Butt, we saw him stay out on old tires and being involved in the wreck that started the chain of events that led to the end of the race in that 5-wide situation. He comes home in 18th. Ricky Howell Jr. in that number 18 will come home in 19th. He's the last car on the lead lap. 3 laps down, Jason Jacoby. He is the last car, or he was the car that caused the final caution to put this race in the books. He will come home in the last car in the top 20.
Yeah, unfortunate there, 20th after a pretty solid night. Robert Gillenwater will finish 21st, 5 laps down. Ralph Vandervorst will finish 22nd. Then Michael Atkins Jr. is 23rd. Brian Harvey is 24th. Scott Simley will come home 25th. Most of those drivers right there were caught up in the big wreck on the front straightaway when we had that 4 and 5 wide action, and unfortunately they just weren't able to make it through. James Nunn will finish 26th here tonight. Dwayne Dunn is 27th. Riley Thompson, he was second in the points coming into the night. He's going to finish 28th. He takes a big hit on the points. Todd Kirkwood will finish 29th, and rounding out the top 30, Michael Waters finishes 30th.
The number 8 of Jeff Ryan will come in 31st position, 45 laps down. 61 laps down, Justin Michael, your winner last week in Phoenix, will come home in 32nd. 33rd is going to go to Jody Green in the 00. Randy Yoakum in the number 2 truck is going to come home in 34th. 35th, Steve Ritter and Brian Cutts is going to come home in 36th. Did not start the race, but I believe he completed 1 lap and pulled it into the pits. He will come home in 36th. Now, after that full field of 36 trucks, I believe we have a winner after 100 laps, and Brian, he's caught up with him.
Yep, I'm down here in victory lane with the driver that did it all here tonight. Greg Mall will win this race here tonight. An incredible second half of the race for you here tonight, Greg. You were quiet in the first half, but in that second half, when we had the long green flag run, your truck came to life. And you all of a sudden just drove away from everybody. You went up there, took the lead away from Bobby Terrell, and then from there on, it was just pretty much lights out. Talk about your night and how you got to victory lane.
Yeah, that was a pretty eventful first half of the race, I'd say. Just kind of trying to get the truck situated to where, we just kind of get some green flag runs going there, and it just, it seemed like the cautions just kept coming out at the wrong time. We started to get settled in, and all of a sudden somebody to, get out of shape or something like that and bring out a caution. But yeah, that second half, once we get a green flag pit stop in, I figured, the pit stop was going to be pretty important tonight. So we had a pretty solid night on pit road, and I think it was just a matter of how both Bobby and I kind of were catching the lap traffic there at the end. And right there at the end, I didn't want all them cautions coming out, because it just seemed like, we get a heat cycle in the tires and then we'd slow back down, and it's just, it's tough to get back into a rhythm, especially with those closing laps and the pressure's building up. And so it was a snowball effect of a lot of things, and we're just glad to get out of here, and glad to walk out of here with a win.
When the number 3 of Keith Butt stayed out on one of the most recent pit stops, or the final pit stop, were you at all nervous knowing that he was going to be out there on older tires than everybody else, or did you feel pretty comfortable knowing that you had enough of a truck to get around him cleanly before anything happened? That was a pretty intense restart behind you. I don't know if you had an opportunity to go back and see it or not. If not, you can check it out on our replay, because that was an insane couple of laps. They went 3 and 4 and almost 5 wide at one point down the front straightaway before the caution came out. Were you at all concerned about that when he made that call?
Initially, that thought definitely comes across your mind, especially, tires here. I mean, you don't really want to think about it being too much of a factor, but it certainly is by any means. So yeah, I mean, initially I was a little bit concerned, but being in that second row, if you start first or second row on these restarts, you got a fairly good shot in terms of trying to work the track and trying to work around the other competitors that are around you on the restart. So, going into that restart, I was thinking, the first turn, we're probably going to be fairly even, but we just want to try and get ourselves set up so that we can make a pass in 3 and 4 on that restart lap. So I think it was just a matter of getting the truck situated to where we could make the move when we wanted to. And looking at my rear view and from the sound of what my teammates were saying further back in the field there when that caution came out on that front stretch wreck, that was that sounded like that got pretty hairy pretty quick. So was glad to be out in front to avoid that one.
Yeah, absolutely, and congratulations for being able to come home to victory lane. One more question, though, before we let you go. You've got a win, 2 top 5s, and 3 top 10s in the first 5 races of this season. A pretty solid start for you. You're going to leapfrog a few guys and move up in the points. We don't have the unofficial standings for you updated yet, but a pretty good start. And next week you head to Texas. How do you feel about the Texas Motor Speedway? Is that a place where you feel like you can get your second win on the season, maybe go back-to-back here in this series?
Oh, the potential's certainly there. We've had some halfway decent luck at Texas. I think it's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time. And I mean, in this league, there's some great talent, and I think realistically, week in and week out, that there's a good 8, 9, maybe 10 guys that have a realistic shot at winning any of these races, really. So I mean, it's just a matter of if anybody gets in any sort of bad situation, whether it's speeding penalties on pit road or getting caught up in wrecks like there was tonight. It's trying to be the spatial awareness is crucial in these races, and just trying to be adaptive constantly is just I can't stress it enough in these races. So want to think that we have some good speed at Texas, but yeah, I mean it's going to be an interesting race for sure.
All right, Greg. Well, we're going to let you go back and celebrate here in just a moment. Just want to give you a chance to say thank you to any sponsors and say hello to any friends or family that might be watching. Who makes it happen for you on the number 12 machine, Greg?
Well, of course, want to thank the teammates over at Young Guns Motorsports. Seeing that Jamie got a good top 3 finish, good podium for Young Guns for this evening. But I want to thank them guys, Aaron and George Hendricks. They had some halfway decent nights, considering they were in some tough spots early on in the race, and they were able to recover, I think, fairly well. But I want to thank all the friends and family back home that are watching, and just can't thank them enough for all their support, and the teammates. We keep constantly trying to push each other to keep finding that little bit of speed here and there, and I think it's showing as the season keeps going along. So definitely can't thank those guys enough.
All right, well, congrats, Greg. Go back and celebrate with your team, and we'll see you next week out here. Maybe you can go back-to-back.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, guys.
All right, that was Greg Mall. He wins here tonight at the Auto Club Speedway. A very exciting race leads to him getting the checkered flag and going down and celebrating with his team in victory lane. Now we're going to catch up with second-place finisher Bobby Terrell. Gabe Wood, I believe you've caught up with him down on pit road. He's got a pretty exciting race here as well. He comes away with a second-place finish. Bobby Terrell.
Yeah, I'm standing here with Bobby here on pit lane. He just jumped out of that 24 machine. Bobby, I got to tell you, I was not expecting you to finish that high between what we saw between the 88, the 87, and the 17. We thought it was going to be a 3-horse show, but you surprised the broadcast booth along with Greg Mall, our winner tonight, by stealing the show, especially with some great racing with the 80. How did it feel for that truck just to come on later in the race? Did you really think you had a shot at winning when the green flag dropped?
Yeah, I mean, I thought I had a chance to win. I mean, I go in every race thinking that. I just was taking my time and really was hoping that it would go green so I could really show what the truck had. And like I said, I was better on the long run, but that middle run there when Greg caught me, I kind of used up a little too much early on. I knew he pitted later than me, but I was up there, but then I overshot my pit stall and got behind a little bit, and then it got kind of crazy at the end, and I took a few chances, but it all worked out, and I ended up sneaking up there in second.
Now, we saw that 80 machine speed on pit road, and that was how you were able to inherit the lead for good, for a good 20 laps before the pit stops happened again there under that caution. Did it kind of lift a little bit of weight off your shoulders, knowing that one of your biggest competitors at the time was now out of the picture, or did you know that 17 and Jamie Walker was coming fast? Or at the time, he was coming fast?
No, I mean, I figured Scott was just by the look of the way he was driving the 80 car, it looked like he was using up some of his stuff, so I figured if it went green, he wouldn't be, hanging on very long. He would fall off, so just the way he was, driving in the corners, I thought he would fall off if he kept driving that way, so I wasn't concerned about him, and like I said, the only two guys was Jamie and Greg. I I felt like I had a top 3 truck all night and just got kind of shuffled back there at the end, but it all worked out.
Now we asked Greg this just a second ago, but when that 3 of Keith Butt stayed on the racetrack on old tires, what were you thinking? Because you had to line up behind him, or at least near him. What was going through your head? Because we didn't see anybody stay on old tires. We saw somebody take 2, I believe, on that same restart, but it had to be pretty surprising to see somebody on what are basically 20 or 25 old tires stay out in front of the field.
Yeah, that wasn't very smart on his part. I mean, if he'd have been a front runner, and been up front all night, would have been one thing, but he was running at the back most of the night. And, why somebody does something like that and runs the race for others, I don't know what they're thinking. I mean, I know they're betting on a caution, but in as many laps as left, you'd had to have several cautions. But, yeah, I mean, I knew a wreck was going to happen. I mean, I knew he was going to stack the field up. Had to.
All right, Bobby, we're going to let you go celebrate this second step on the podium, but you got any sponsors you want to thank? We saw a pretty nice-looking truck out there. You want to thank who's on the hood?
Oh, Muscle Milk, man. That's my sponsor. My teammates. I'd give a shout-out to my teammates, Scott Simley and Brian Harvey. We worked together all night, so shout-out to them. And I'd also like to dedicate this second place my cousin Tamara Connell Hall, who's only 38 years old, passed away Friday night. So I dedicate this second place to her.
That's sad to hear, but at least she's got a good cousin looking out for her, and got a good cousin waiting on her after a few years, maybe. But Bobby, we gotta thank you for sharing that with us and dedicating your second place victory. It really is a victory after the kind of night you had. But Bobby, congratulations! And now we're going to talk to the man we thought was going to end up in victory lane all night, but came home in third.
All right, thanks, guys. I appreciate everything y'all do.
We'll come right over here with Jamie Walker, driver the number 17. We saw him lead and dominate basically the first half of this race, and thought it was all wrapped up and done with after the 87 and the 88 took each other out there near halfway. But Jamie, what happened to that car?
Yeah, actually, I had a real big grin when I seen those two get caught up in a little bit of a mess, but I don't know what happened. The truck just fell off late, about halfway through the run, and that was it. I wasn't able to find nothing after that. But yeah, like I said at the beginning of the run, this truck was awesome.
Now, although you didn't get the win, you get the podium, and this has to feel good considering the race you had at Phoenix. You still had a decent finish, but it was not the type of Jamie Walker race that we've seen here lately, at least this year and last year, because you ran toward the mid-pack at Phoenix before finishing with a decent position. But this had to feel good to get up in lead laps again.
Yeah, Phoenix was actually my fault. I made a dumb decision there. I pitted with 10 to go, and I was only able to rebound back up to, I think it was 6th. But yeah, that was just my own fault. I was running second at the time.
All right, Jamie, well, we're going to go ahead and let you celebrate the rebound finish after starting second and coming home in third. Got anybody you want to thank, maybe? We saw you had a new truck there with a new sponsor. You want to thank them or your teammates or anybody?
Well, of course, all my teammates at Young Guns, we all had a pretty good run tonight with 2 top 3 finishes and then a couple more outside the top 10 there. So, and then another shout out to my good friend Shane Hother. He had a good run tonight, and then you guys do an awesome job in the booth.
All right, Jamie, congratulations on your third and your rebound weekend here at Auto Club. And now, let's send it back to Brian Macklin to close out the night.
Yeah, absolutely. What an exciting night here tonight, Gabe. This was a really one of the best races I think I've had the fortune of calling. So, got to thank these guys for putting on a great show here at the United Sim Racing League. This is above and beyond been one of the best races that I've been a part of, and certainly a very exciting night that ended with some fireworks. Of course, with the daytime, we didn't get to see actual fireworks, but these guys put on quite a show on the racetrack. And Gabe, it was a pleasure having you in the broadcast booth here tonight. I look forward to doing this with you again in the immediate future.
Yeah, it's fun being back after being gone for a few months. It's good to kind of get shake the little bit of rust off I've got. Did the USR race last week, and I feel like I'm getting back in the groove. It's good to have an experienced commentator back in the booth too with Brian Macklin. I know I had Evan Pasoko last week, but it's good to kind of get some variety.
And nobody can take on Evan Pasoko and Jacob Seelman. They're the two best broadcasters that we have. And for LSRTV's Evan Pasoko, Andy Kessler, producer Cisco Scaramuza, and everyone else at LSRTV LLC, and on behalf of the broadcast team tonight, myself, Brian Macklin, and Gabe Wood, we saw another action-packed race here on LSRTV that concluded with Greg Mall winning the Turo Turf Equipment 200. We hope you enjoyed the show. Tune in Monday night for our next night of action with RSR's Icebreaker Series live at the Texas Motor Speedway. That race goes live at 9:30. Good night, everybody. Have a wonderful night.